Hello and welcome back to the RWBY podcast. This is the first time we've actually been, somewhat together in 2 weeks now. And
Yeah.
under the circumstances and under like my current physical health, I'm kind of glad that I look like a pasty ass ghost right now. I am your host, Mediocrity.
We gotta save media from that coronavirus, guys. Somebody get the Chinese on the phone
I
and get their
had
treatment
really
for it.
the Chinese food I had last night tasted really good, but it wrecked my stomach.
Uma delicio, bat soup. Ah, yes. Oh no, the not copyright infringing Umbrella Corporation in my town next to the wet market is leaking strange fluids into the wet market. I sure hope nothing bad happens.
Was that the
Oh.
Contagion reference?
Oh man, look at these hospitals that are being built with look at these pieces of plywood that have nothing on the inside. Oh man, this is great. I sure love, how well my government takes care of me.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm gonna say. Make sure to
Your name?
oh yeah, it's high powered. And
Someone's got to remind
make
you.
sure to edit in a hazmat suit onto your Discord icons so you don't catch the Corona Chan virus. Yeah. And it's y'all's turn now, I guess. And dude will be coming in eventually. Probably. I think he can just join in anytime.
Yeah.
And I have been recently rewatching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Recently watched episode, I believe it was 54, in which Envy tries to convince four people who have legitimate beefs with each other to fight each other, but they don't because they recognize him as the real enemy. What a great episode! I am Robert.
And I, posting from my 2014 Dodge Dart GT, painted with black paint and orange racing stripes, and with the stenciled neck collectors on the real windshield, M. Coop.
Yeah, so we're gonna briefly talk about episode 11 because we weren't together for that. I did have a discussion video, and they all had like their own little thing. I don't know how much they talked about the episode. I don't like that.
Knowing how things are happening
That'll be
now.
up before
didn't.
that'll be up before this is.
Yeah.
So I think episode 11, and I said in my discussion video and in my review, I think it's the best episode of the entire show.
And we all
Yes,
pretty much
agreed.
agreed on our thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that it was a really good episode. They did a lot of good stuff in there. Yeah.
I like how
I-
shook
I-
Ruby was. That was pretty good. .jpeg.
Yeah.
I actually tried to think over all of the episodes I've seen so far in the show, and I went back and even rewatched a few to try and find something better than this one, and it just didn't happen. I'm leaning towards best episode of the show so far. Honestly, it was a damn good one, and I would expect something like this out of, say, Clone Wars, but the fact that this popped up in RWBY, which has my expectations a lot lower, this really has a lot of impact to it.
Yeah, and I couldn't come up with any like real viable criticisms, and I went into detail about a lot of things I like. Like I love how Ironwood uses his gun. It takes a lot of the concepts that made RWBY kind of fresh and cool at first, and actually like pushes them further than we've seen them push before. And it it puts the characters in kind of this lose-lose situation where they can either lose the city of Mantle or they could have a 10% chance of succeeding at saving everything at the 90% risk of losing everything. And they're not going to be able to save everyone regardless. They're too tired. It's been dragged out too long. And Mantle's just in chaos right now.
And
I will say this. I didn't like how Ironwood used his guns, but not because of how he used them, because of the sound they made when he did use them. It was weak as fuck and didn't sound like a cool big ass bang like a loud shooty boomstick should. I don't want these pew pew noises from my fucking gunshots, damn it.
Yeah. That's a sound design thing, and it's been kind of an issue with a lot of RWBY weapons.
I just hate how they always
Yeah.
use that shotgun noise from Halo. Like, I'm so sick and tired of hearing that sound effect.
Yeah.
But that's like in general though. That's not inside RWBY.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Yang's gauntlets use them.
Mhm.
So, and one thing I didn't end up getting to in my discussion video that I wanted to touch with you guys is RWBY got some really important development in this episode.
Yeah.
I wish they would have taken it further. Like, I wish Salem would have been like, "Your mother said those exact same words to me before I ripped her heart out."
Yeah. I do kind of wonder. I don't know. I'm not an expert on grief, so feel free to say that I'm an idiot and stuff like that. But it did seem a little odd to me that, like, I don't know, Ruby would have such a strong reaction to basically finding out what she's probably always like, getting confirmation of what I'm pretty sure she's always assumed for the last
Yeah.
16 years.
Well,
But again, like,
Well, not
I'm
16
sure
years.
I'm not an expert on grief. And something I noticed about this and I wonder about, because so Salem, brings up Summer Rose, basically says, I killed your mother and stuff like that. And Ruby, like, has her little freak out, has like visions of her mother basically turning away and stuff. Like, it's kind of mirrors last volume when she used Silver Eyes, and we see her eyes basically like flicker out and like die on her. So I wonder if this is going to be like a mental block for her, like in the future, that's going to like actively stop her from using her eyes or something like that. I think that could be, I mean, she already has a hard enough time using them, as we've already seen this volume, but I am curious if that's like gonna make it harder, and it's gonna be one of those things that like she needs to work through in the future. I think that could be really interesting and really cool. But yeah,
There's a couple of things that I can point out about that. I'll start with the Silver Eyes thing because that's actually simpler. We did see in episode 10 that it takes her time to focus it now because she was interrupted like mid attempt, and that kind of threw her off. So I'm assuming that's going to be what they utilize as the limitation of it, which she will.
It's got a channeling time.
More than more than likely she'll overcome it eventually, because we've also seen in Volume 6 the fight that the old lady Silver-Eyed Warrior had against
Maria
the
had with the Nevermore. Yeah.
So she didn't need any channeling time for it. So I'm assuming that eventually Ruby's going to get there herself.
So you think that
But
there was
for
no
now,
point to really making it tougher for her? So yeah, maybe.
I'm not saying there's no point to making it tougher for her, but the thing of it is, in order to keep with consistency, they will have to remove that limitation, which I wish would just have existed for all Silver-Eyed Warriors, that if you're actively trying to do it, it takes time to concentrate, because it's kind of like, I would say that it's kind of like acting. If you're trying to draw on your emotions, sometimes when you're an actor, it takes you a little while to get to that state. Like, not every actor can cry on command, right? Like, you have to be super talented in order to do that. And this is like, this is a sort of similar thing. It's an ability that actively requires your emotions to use. And so Ruby has to kind of work herself up, think back to all the hentai she's watched, because she doesn't have her phone in front of her where she can just look it up. she has to mentally visualize the big titty MILF waifu who's coming up on the Shota-kun. these are things that one must do sometimes. I've been there before.
John's gonna
And
have to replace the big titty waifu with a big dick Chad.
No, literally, no. That's what happens towards the end. Is it Lancaster gets confirmed, and all John does to help Ruby get her silver eyes going is he just has to be within earshot of her whenever he unzips his pants, and then that gets her ready to go.
But anyway,
sorry.
The other thing that I can confirm of yours, Robert, is your theory on grief, because my mom died when I was fucking 12 years old, and
I'm so sorry.
I lost my shit back then.
Mhm.
But being that I'm going to turn 27 this fucking Wednesday, it's been a long ass time. And though I'll always grieve for my mother and miss her, if somebody comes up to me and is like, fuck your mom, I'll be like, fuck you.
Okay.
You know, fuck
And I'll
off
be
or
like, I'll
something.
show you what I learned in Marine Boot.
Hell, well, to be fair, I learned a lot more in MCT about how to kill people than I did in Boot. In Boot, we learned to drill.
Gotcha.
But no.
Okay. Fair enough. So yeah, ignore what I said there then. So okay.
You got to think about it too.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I can't say this is the fact for everybody because, you know, everybody has different emotional wavelengths and stuff that goes on with them. And, like, you know, sometimes you see an old picture or something and it brings a little tear to your eye or some shit. Like, just thinking back on all those painful memories. But, like, Ruby did seem overreactive to me given that she was very young when her mother died, which usually reduces the number of memories you have of them in the first place.
Yeah.
And B, that she is she's a brave type of person. She stands courageous against a lot of stuff. And for some reason, when somebody she doesn't even know mentions her mother slightly, it just cripples her emotionally. It wasn't a big enough hit to take that big enough of a fall, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
if they're retconning away that whole Volume 5, she was like less than a year old thing, I would not object because that was really dumb and that took away like one of Ruby's best emotional.
For me, because like beats. I mean, Coop, you lost your mom. Like I lost my sister whenever I was like 16. So like, it's in the same ballpark, but it's a different feeling. So like, I lost my sister to like a stupidly rare type of cancer, and so like. Whenever she passed on, like it was sad and I was heartbroken and everything. But then like once we kind of learned the specifics of it and then how bad she actually was, because she essentially showed like no symptoms until she was like in the ER, and so like having that, like for me, like I'm a little bit more sympathetic to how Ruby is reacting simply because it's like having a better idea of like what caused the thing to happen kind of brings back all those emotions and then some too in my case, because Salem is basically like, well, yeah, I killed your mom, and like Ruby doesn't have any reason to not believe her, especially with what like Crow said to her in like what episode 5 of this volume. And it even then too, like it makes it even sound like that this is something that like Summer decided to do like of her own volition. I don't even think Ozpin put her up to it. So like to me, like dude, did she over like, do I feel like it was oversold a little bit on like how they decided to like react, like how they had to ever react to it? Probably. But like for her, because like you got to think about it too, like she's been kept like so much in the dark about this. It's kind of like what's like a comic book equivalency of this, whatever. It's like it's whenever like you learn that like your parents like, oh yeah, your dad's like a supervillain. He like holocausted a whole bunch of people.
Just a plot
Well,
twist.
Yeah,
depending on the
it is a
version.
bit. Yeah, it is a plot twist. I don't want to say it's a plot twist. It's more just like a reveal. Like it's always
Yeah.
been like expressly implied. Like I think it's good. Um, it definitely hopes that like Ruby doesn't talk no jutsu Salem down at the end of the series. I hope that definitely
Well-
is the case.
And this is just my interpretation, and this for me it kind of confirms my Ruby martyr complex theory that I've had since Volume 2, where it wasn't just getting triggered about the memories of her mom, it was realizing that not only is her mom really dead, but she's doing the exact same thing that got her mother killed.
Yeah. Which kind of goes back to Red.
Or
Well,
like Rose's
eh.
part 2.
yeah, but
Well,
the soundtrack
yeah.
doesn't matter. So
it's not the exact same thing. Ruby's mom just fucking went off on her own without really telling anybody what the fuck was going on or enlisting their aid, it would seem. And it seems that's been basically confirmed. Ruby's got a whole team of people behind her, backing her up, you know. The power of friendship be damned. If you got 8 motherfuckers with guns and shit, you're probably pretty well off. Like,
Yeah. And I think this also just kind of lets us know that no, Silver Eyes are not going to solve the Salem problem, basically, because from the sounds of things, Summer Rose tried. So,
But yeah,
Okay.
I'm glad that the Summer Rose question has finally been put to bed.
Yeah.
So that's
there's
definitely a
few
good thing.
small details that could be added to it down the line. I'm guessing it'll get like pieced out to us piece by piece over time. That would probably be the best way to do it, honestly. And you know, a huge ass exposition dump on it is not necessarily needed.
And it could even lead towards like a good character moment between Ozpin, Oscar, and Ruby. As much as I hate to like say that could happen, but like I definitely could see where Ruby is like catches Oscar alone and it's just like throws him into the locker. It's like I need to talk to Ozpin right now. It's like
Oscar. And then Oscar will be like, bitch, you've been talking to him the whole time. And then it will get the reveal that Ozpin has actually been in control.
Since Volume 6, yeah.
Yep. Or some shit. I don't fucking know.
I wouldn't put it past them.
I did say
Yeah.
that was the only way I would like the whole Oscar like having his character development off screen again thing last volume, but yeah.
And
So yeah,
then
Ruby's
this-
freakout was
I-
fine. You know, maybe a little.
I've thought about that, and that's going a little bit into episode 12 right now. But
Okay.
We can honestly talk about both episodes at the same time because they're.
well, let's talk about Ironwood,
Yeah.
and we'll use that to kind of bridge into episode 12, because episode 11 does end on a cliffhanger with Ironwood being kind of fed up with Team Ruby's insubordination. They went behind his back and told someone they had no business telling and no business trusting the most important information in the entire world, the thing he's staking his entire life and reputation on.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they're trying to get in the way of him doing what he thinks is right.
Yeah.
And they're wanting him to sacrifice more people, more resources on a fool's errand and a suicide mission.
Yeah. So
and to be fair about that, though, like one thing is that Yang and Blake did the reveal to Robin without the team leader telling them to or allowing them to do so, and they kind of just decided on their own that was the way they were going to go. And we already know those two are like the dumbest of Team RWBY. Like they ain't doing so hot when it comes to making good decisions. Like as for the other part, spot on. Like but like I just want to kind of like air a little bit of defense.
Well, as the leader, it does reflect poorly on Ruby.
Yeah,
even
Yeah,
if
and
it
Ruby
does.
doesn't
she
and
didn't
Ruby
even know.
doesn't condemn them when she finds out
She
what they
doesn't.
did, if
She
she
doesn't
even
stand
knew.
up for them either.
Yeah,
She doesn't. She kind of
Yeah.
just stays silent throughout
yeah,
that
she
whole.
doesn't really say either or, but and there is also the fact that she was keeping secrets from him, so for all he knows, she was also in on this whole thing. She was in um on this whole thing. He doesn't know because she doesn't defend, she doesn't condone what they did. She doesn't condemn it either, so it's kind of hard for him to figure out whose side she's on. And I do want to talk about like Ironwood's new plan, because I understand I understand how we got to this place, how we got to this mindset. They episode 8 showed us hints of it, and then, or not episode 8, episode 7 showed us hints of it. Episode 9 kind of, or I don't know, episode 9, I feel like we could have used a little more, like just a little bit more of a like annoyance or frustration from him when Oscar tells him the truth, like just a little bit moment of like, why didn't you tell me before this? Or like, okay, well, let's deal with Watt and Tyrion, but I do want to, discuss why you didn't tell me this beforehand. Like just something to let us know that he's not, because the way he responded, it kind of felt like he was just over it, kind of. And
Yeah.
but like there were some hints of it because he tells Oscar, no more surprises. I can't take any more surprises. And then Cinder hits him with one more surprise, and he goes nuts. And and like he has that moment of like suspicion with Robin Hill, like and stuff like that. So there were little hints. I feel like they just needed like one more little thing to let us know that he's not totally okay with everything, but he's willing to work with it until one more thing happens and his mindset just goes nuts. So I understand where he's at there, but in regards to his plan, his new plan here, so wanting to leave people in menagerie behind, seemingly sacrificing like the needs of the many for the needs of the few. That's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it's a little disturbing, but it's not the worst thing in the world. His
Here,
decision to try and run from Salem media, you talked about this last week, that it's not really going to work. She's immortal. Altitude
hmm
sickness isn't going to stop her. Also, we don't, also, for all we know, the relics have like the same altitude rules as dust. So like the staff of creation might just shut down if he got too high. Like, for all we know, Ozpin tried that and it didn't work. And then, third of all, is that so Ruby says you can't do this. You were about. So Ironwood says we're going to apply the Amity or what we were going to do with Amity to Atlas. He is not talking about making another relay tower. He is not talking about telling everyone about Salem. I think some people maybe don't get that because Ruby says you can't. You're go. We were just about to unite the world, and he basically responds to her like, that's not, and he doesn't say like, don't worry, we'll still do that, we'll still tell everyone. He basically just moves on and insists that it's the right thing to do. So I
well,
don't think it.
he says that he's applying the Amity Coliseum plan to the entire city of Atlas.
Well, yeah, but I
Yeah.
think what he's talking about there is he's just talking about elevating, not talking
I don't think
like
so.
making another tower, because
I mean,
if he
the
could have done
implications
that from the
are that if
start,
you
he
get
would.
higher enough, you can just transmit far enough. Is the implication
I don't know,
of
because
the whole Amity Coliseum thing?
And
that's not
being
what
a
I took away
ground
from it,
radio
I guess.
repairman, I can confirm that that's kind of how comm towers work.
Yeah.
Like I understand, I don't know. That's not the impression I got because, like I said, Ruby. Because like right after he says he's applying the plan, Ruby says, you were going to reunite the world, and he, just kind of
Yeah, but
shoves her
he's
aside.
gonna
He blows
reunite the
her off like
world
he's.
by He's gonna reunite the world by screwing over half his kingdom.
Well, it's not even
I
half.
guess.
They've already,
I don't know.
like,
My
correct me
impression is
if
that
I'm
he was
wrong, but
giving up
didn't.
on that on the uniting the plan world completely, because he doesn't deny what Ruby says with that one. That's not the, I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but like that's not the impression that I got from what he was saying. It seemed to me that he
Here's
was just basically running, and I don't know, to me it just feels like no matter what, the plan's not going to work. Like, his plan is kind of to sacrifice the few for the needs of the many, but really I don't think his plan is going to save anyone, basically, is impression I got. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Here's the thing, though. They have specifically said a lot of things that people didn't seem to be paying attention to. One, the creation relic is going to supply everything that they need to stay up in that part of the sky and stuff. So everybody on Atlas will be provided for perfectly well, and it's just going to be a sort of exacerbation of the relic's already in use power, which I'm guessing is unlimited, because the relics, they don't go into like the relic can't do that or anything along those lines.
Maybe.
So Atlas will be fine by being higher up. They've already said that outright. Whether they are wrong about it or something,
they also
it
said
always
stuff about artificial biomes for plants and.
And
I'm assuming those artificial biomes are dependent on dust, so
I don't know.
Well, and the relic can create an unlimited supply of dust.
Well,
yeah, but anyway, the other thing that people don't seem to understand, which this is kind of more like a cut and dry thing, is that most of Mantle has already been evacuated. They're only leaving a few people behind down there, and they said, yeah, we got. I might be wrong and misremembering these lines, but I'm pretty sure they said, yeah, we got most of them, but there's still a few left down there. And then Ironswood's like, if you got most of them, that's pretty good. Like, we got to accept what we got. Like,
I'll look that one up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they give any numbers or.
They don't give any outright numbers, but most means most.
Yeah,
so,
it means
like,
well over half.
Yeah. And that plus the people that are living in Atlas itself, I'm guessing maybe, like, if I had to put a pin on it, I'd say maybe like a third of the population at most is still left down in Mantle, maybe.
Yeah.
So, like, you got 2/3 in the sky and 1/3 down below. You saved the 2/3. That's
it's the
just
trolley.
the way you fucking do it.
And I know Ruby and Weiss's objection to martial law before was that, like, it would just create more negative emotions and more grim attacks, but I don't think that matters right now, because the Grimm are coming, whether everyone
they're in the city.
Yeah, they're already there.
The Germans are already inside Rome.
My thing, the way I think this is gonna play out into Team Ruby's favor is that this is what Salem wants Ironwood to try to do. That's where I think they're gonna go with it.
And this is my big thought too, is like this will be like the plot twist, and I've mentioned this on the voice chat, which, by the way, y'all should join the Discord if you want to hear my fucking thoughts. Is that there is no like other like orchestrated grim attack outside of like the natural grim attack from all the panic. It's just a bluff. It's like, because right now it's like if Salem is just bluffing, saying that there's more to come, and Atlas, cries out as it hits itself in fear, in the literal and figurative sense, it's like, why would I commit forces whenever they'll do the damage themselves?
Yeah,
it's an easy plan.
That's like the thing I've been saying. Watts was playing checkers and Ironwood was playing chess, but Salem has been playing sixth-dimensional underwater backgammon, and they just don't fucking realize it. Like,
no, like, and it's really cliche and dumb though, but like if that's the plot twist for the end of this volume, where like there's no attack, and Cinder and Tyrion are like gonna be running outside of the burning city, like with their loot in hand, it's like the mission accomplished. They don't need to destroy the city. They just gotta get the relic and get out.
So the one thing about that, though, that I can't, like, the Tyrion thing Salem kind of plans around that chaos. Cinder is chaos that Salem hasn't planned around, from what I can tell, because she's
Well,
not
I
even.
mean, she knows that Cinder's there, though.
Does she
Yeah.
know that Cinder's
But I
there?
don't think
It's-
she I don't know.
She, in Volume 6, it implied that like she has some way of keeping tabs on her, which is how she knew that Cinder was still alive.
Yeah, the implication, in my opinion, too, is like is Salem knows, but she doesn't know 100% for certain. She would assume.
Well, she doesn't know what Cinder's doing.
Yeah, she would just
knows
assume that Cinder's following the
alive,
plan.
Cinder's somewhere in Atlas, but she
Well,
doesn't
actually,
know.
she could probably figure out what it is that Cinder's doing from what Cinder tries to do all the time, which is get
fucking
the
right
maiden
about.
powers, get that relic, get
Kill
Penny.
Ruby.
Or they'll just
Forget
figure
that-
it out
and
when they
forget
find
that
out
she wants to forget that she wants to kill.
Yeah.
Or they'll
there's
figure it
that.
out when they find out that every one of the Aesops have been taken out by Team RWBY. Like, I don't know. I really want to see Cinder's reaction when she realizes like how well her plan actually worked. Like, dang, I just wanted to know where the Winter Maiden was.
Cinder sees all the knocked out Aesop members, and he just goes and snaps all of their necks as she just walks through. It's like, wow, this was really easy.
I mean,
That'd be
other than
fucked up
Sylvie
though.
walking through that
Yeah.
area, but yeah.
Yeah, did I do that? No, she's just like.
But like this,
Oh, yeah.
like the like
It was
speaking of
all
episode
according to
12.
Keikaku.
Yeah,
Like-
let's go into episode 12.
So like the
Well,
the-
let's hit up the last few things on episode 11 first to make sure everything's like totally wrapped up. We got
Ironwood versus Watts fight was amazing.
yes, it was.
Watts is like 98% confirmed dead because one of the
Yeah.
RT people was like, Ironwood and both went into Amity Coliseum. Only Ironwood came out.
Okay.
I would say that honestly,
I feel like
don't
they might be
get why
leaving
they.
it ambiguous in case they need him later on or something like that. Like,
But then again, this is anime. If we
Yeah,
don't see
I
a
would've-
body, they're not dead.
I don't think that Watts needs to be around anymore, and I would have liked it better if we saw the
Ironwood drop
Root-
him.
yeah, like that would be like a ruthless kill, and that would really enforce our understanding of Ironwood and his character a lot better. Because like if he was dropping Watts off the thing when he had him held and could just like arrest him or something, that's like a merciless execution basically.
Yeah.
And I think it would have made Watts' last words more impactful too. I think it would have improved the scene overall. That's my only kind of gripe with this whole scene. Everything else that happened in it was fucking amazing. The fight was awesome. It utilized the environment and guns as a useful thing like no other RWBY fight has before. It basically the way it ended up with Ironwood yanking his fucking arm out of a burning thing.
Yeah, he
to
basically
just be a-
degloved his entire arm, pretty much.
Yeah.
removing all the skin on your fucking arm because you're such a badass that you just want to fucking go up and hit Watts into the fucking floor repeatedly and beat the shit out of him. It was so fucking amazing. It is possibly the best fight in all of RWBY because of all of the cool shit that happens in it. And I love it so damn much. And I was like, damn, yes. Fucking yes. Where Watts just fucking gets distracted by thinking he's caught Ironwood in a trap that the dude won't try to escape from because it's too painful, and then he does anyway because he's such a badass.
Yeah, Ironwood is
like
passing all of his feel no pain roll checks.
That's like the fucking... That hit me right in the fucking gut. I was like, yes, this is an actual awesome fucking scene.
Yeah.
And then to go to the lesser impactful of the fights, we have the fucking Tyrion versus 3 other people fight.
Yeah.
Which is... It's all right.
It's good for what it is. It's a decent
I
curve
mean,
stomp.
I always love the way Tyrion moves. His fights always look good.
Yeah. One thing I didn't really like about... Well, I kind of liked and kind of disliked is that we got to see the new mode for Crow's weapon in this, and it's a freaking tonfa instead of, like I've always been saying about Crow and Ruby's weapons, that they legit need a war scythe or glaive mode because that makes more sense. Like, and on the one hand, I get why you would want to use a tonfa over a sword in super close quarters like a typical alleyway would generate, because you're a lot closer in and you want to go a little bit more defensive. But on the other hand, the particular alley they were in was basically a wide-ass street, and he didn't need that. So I'm like, as far as the choreography goes, it was good for what it did, but it doesn't make sense when you think about it from the realistic fight choreography perspective that I always think of fights from. But you know, I like Robin's weapon kind of, because it's got explosive arrows in it. Clover's weapon.
I like the
is
use
still
of the
dumb.
explosive arrow blowing up in Tyrion's face, but
Yeah, Clover's fishing rod is
and it's just
still
cheap
dumb.
Robin Hood, so that's why. Yeah.
You know, I don't like the fishing rod. I think it's dumb in this.
I think it was
fight.
kind of useful in this case, like just tangling Tyrion up and stuff like that. Like if you've ever been fishing, like yeah, fishing tackle is a pain in the ass.
What was that one stand in the current season of JoJo that was the guy with the fishing rod? What
Beach
was the-
Boys.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that was the Beach
that was
Boys.
the best example of a fishing pole used in combat ever. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I have
but
to
that one
slice
has
my heart up into
supernatural
further
ability.
bits so I don't trip his jig.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So those two fights are really the only thing that we didn't go over super hard. Like, but that again, they're fight scenes, so there's not really much to say about them, even though there's some things to say about them.
They're
like,
entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can move on to episode 12 now if y'all want.
So episode 12 is
Do we
some
want to get the
talking.
bad part out of the way first, or
Do we just want
So,
to
the
talk
what
about the crow bit?
I
No.
mean,
Let's leave that for last because the episode left that for last, and that's like
well, it
that's
also
like
started. It also started off. I was wanting to kind of compartmentalize the three different threads of this episode. Four if you count like Jennifer and Oscar, but that was only like one little bit.
yeah?
that was a little bit of it.
But yeah,
Okay.
it bounces back and forth between Winter and Penny having basically the same discussion they had a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Team RWBY versus Aesop's, and Robin dumb bitching her way through the worst section of this entire vault.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if we start off the episode basically starts off with Ruby and pals getting fucking locked in a room with Aesop's.
Yeah.
So like the way that this particular fight played out made sense given its framing and all that stuff, but the way that the framing was set up in the first place is kind of what I have a little bit of an issue with in this fight. Like, and I'll say that that's probably what I'd go with for both of the fights this episode.
Okay.
So, like, yes, starting right off the bat, Team RWBY wins because Aesop's wasn't able to be good with each other and like
Aesop's was defeated in detail.
Yeah. And the on the one hand, there's like sort of I get that Team RWBY basically just wins. Like they win a lot of things. They've got the skills under their belt to do it a lot of the time. Weiss in particular, I knew right off the bat was probably going to end up beating Marrow. Marrow
Especially
didn't really
because
have a chance.
Marrow didn't want to fight in the first place also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And his
like
semblance is only useful when he's got a group of people to help him out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as for why he
Uh,
didn't use it right off the bat, he would be, like, first of all, he didn't want to fight. Second of all, like, I'm pretty sure how his semblance works is that whatever's in his line of sight freezes, and he had two or three of his teammates were in his way there, so I think that might be what
Another
part of it.
thing, though, it
Uh,
doesn't
but-
freeze. Everyone
It
keeps
doesn't float
forgetting.
around.
Everyone keeps forgetting when he used it right after Tyrion's little slaughter on election night, when he
Mhm.
freezes the crowd. But one of them is still able to fire her weapon, and the projectile that her weapon fires is not slow. It damn near hits him. So Weiss, like she could probably still control her glyphs and blast him.
I mean, she was
because he
still
can't
controlling her
freeze-
knight.
because he can't like freeze her semblance. Again, like we actually see that in this episode. He freezes Weiss. The knight's still at full power, is still at full speed. Like it doesn't affect her.
Her
glyphs,
stand
it
is
only
still
affects
going
her.
to town.
And then when he
Yeah.
switches over to try to he gets backed into a corner, then uses stay on the knight. Weiss just blasts him with a bunch of fireballs.
Yeah. So
Like-
his semblance is limited.
Yeah, like
And
it
then-
has limitations, and in my opinion, it works a lot like Force Slow from Jedi Fallen Order, where on top of that limitation, he can't touch them, or they unfreeze, or unslow. They
Kind of
go
like
back
that
to-
shadow paralysis jutsu.
Yeah,
I mean, again, it's one of those things
Like
where
the
he
only-
kind of has
like
to stop
the-
himself,
like just listing
or at
off the
least
times that
needs
we
to
see him.
focus on it or something.
Yeah, just listing off the times we see him use it. He uses it against a pair of centipedes, and then Harriet runs up, grabs them, and slams them down.
And flicks
with
her
her
nose,
super
has
speed.
time to flick her nose.
Yeah. Before she grabs them. And then the election night episode where he uses it on a crowd of people, but their ammunition doesn't slow down. And then this episode. Like it does have limitations, and they have shown those limitations, and people are just not remembering.
Yeah, so it's not as
As
OP as we
opposed-
think. Like, it's definitely handy. It's definitely great for
It is
being in a
not the
team, but
world.
it's not perfect.
Yeah, and the problem with that is, in this particular fight, Weiss doesn't really have any limits on her fucking shit. Like, she can do whatever the fuck she wants with glyphs whenever the fuck she wants with. Plus
Yeah,
her
she was
fucking
definitely
summon.
the right person to fight him.
Yeah,
Well,
Weiss
no,
is
she's
the most.
the right person to fight literally fucking anybody because she's OP as fuck. She could probably go
they
up
finally
against
just
Cinder
re-
okay.
Yeah, the show finally realized how OP she is. I saw somebody point out, like, this is her first solo victory, and
Yeah, it's also one of her
Sometimes.
first solo fights.
And it was a fucking stomp. She just fucking beat the shit out of Marrow,
Yeah,
and she was
it was
like,
really
"Nah,
good.
dog, you going down today. Fucking get in that fucking Chinese soup and give people coronavirus like the dog you are."
Oh my
Okay, so and then it goes into the it's the Willow. No. It's
Elm.
Or
it's
do we just
Elm.
wanna finish
It's
talking
Elm.
about do we
and
just want
Vine.
to finish talking about the Aesop's fight?
Well, yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say we go
Yeah.
into the each different battle because then now it's
Yeah,
Blake
Elm-
Yang versus Monkman and Elm.
Elm and Vine.
Elm
Um,
and Vine, and so that fight to me, like the thing that didn't make sense.
Floor and Wall OP.
Yeah, so for me, the thing that doesn't make sense is there's a time where Hammer Lady has basically Blake and she doesn't have her in a chokehold, but she has her pin. Like the sensible thing for that point is it's like, why aren't you just automatically choking out Blake just to take a chess piece off the table?
And then she tosses her aside when Yang pisses her off.
It's
Yeah.
so
I guess
Elm,
maybe that's one
logical
of those things where
person, that
she's
wasn't
like,
logical.
I guess that's I don't know, maybe it's supposed to be one of those, like, I don't know, she hasn't had the lessons that Yang had, because one thing I don't know, you can kind of watch that fight and see some ways that and kind of see, I don't know, it's one of those characterization marches on things where, Yang's still applying what she learned from her dad, like knowing not to just step right into things. Like, she realizes, okay, Meryl can overpower, or Elm can overpower me, so she basically runs from her, tossing mines behind her. And then, she's smart enough to avoid Elm, take out Vine first. I mean, it's both her and Blake that are smart enough to do that, but they, team up to do that. And then, she sees, Elm pointing, her rockets at her. And, you see that moment of, oh, crap, don't want to step into that. Instead, she punches the ground to,
Up
basically send her
her.
flying. So,
I
good on
I
Yang
think
here. She does some good things here, but yeah, go ahead.
I think actually this kind of brings up what I was unable to fucking piece together myself until just now. So thanks a lot, Robert, for that.
Sure.
I dig the idea of beating your enemy by outsmarting them, but I don't dig that idea as much if your enemy isn't doing what's smart.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reason the JoJo fights are all so cool. Because, you're not fighting an idiot. You're, trying to outsmart the guy who's also good at outsmarting you.
And he's already like two steps ahead generally in most JoJo fights.
Yeah. And so, the thing about this is that Aesop's is supposed to be a professional, hyper experienced elite team who should know good how to do things. Like, for instance, at the very start of all of these fights where Ruby rushes out and just baits Harriet behind her, if it was me in that situation, I would have been like, okay, we'll just chase after Ruby later. Now it's 4-on-3. Let's get these guys and then tie her up when we fucking hunt her down. I would have just shrugged and been like, okay, guess one of them ran off. We can get her later. That's that's a good fucking way of going about it. The way that Aesop's decided to go about almost everything in this was not the best tactical decision.
No, they really, especially Harriet and to a lesser extent Elm, are really arrogant in this fight and are just trying to overpower Team RWBY and not fighting with any kind of tact or anything. Like, Harriet's just trying to run circles around RWBY. Elm's just trying to bully Yang, a character whose entire power set revolves around her
getting bullied,
always being able to out-bully the bullies. That's her entire gimmick.
The more reasonable thing would be Elm would tag team off of with Harriet and then fight RWBY. Because then it's because Elm is the immovable object. It's like, sure, you can move really fast, but I'll just sit here and fucking tank your hits. And
I really like that line from
Yang's forever weakness will always be people who are good at dodging
and kicking them off screen.
Well,
just the leg appearing out of nowhere.
The tanking thing would kind of be similar to dodging in that Yang would be throwing all of her fucking punches, but they would have no effect.
Yeah, Yang's a monk tank in World of Warcraft, while with Harriet, and then Elm is a Death Knight and or traditional warrior and or brewmaster monk mage in World of Warcraft.
That's kind of the way to negate Yang's hits that they could have used, and the way to beat Yang is basically to one-shot her, because getting pummeled over time with her just kind of builds up her deal. From what I haven't read up on it to see what the canon explanation for her semblance is recently. It's changed around a lot, so I still don't know exactly how it works. I'm going to go with the kinetic absorption thing they said when they were fighting Adam, that his semblance is basically a lot like hers. Something hits her, she gets the strength from that. So it's basically like Nora's, but with kinetic energy rather than electric energy. So if you don't take her down in one shot, or otherwise just grip her real hard or keep her restrained in some way, then you're giving her too much power to overpower you with.
Yeah.
So that's, which I mean, I can't, I don't know that Aesop knew how her semblance worked. I would assume so since they trained together, but like there's a lot of there that's more of the way that they should have gone. They were been like, first of all, they should have definitely just fucking knocked Blake the fuck out because Blake can't fight in a straight up fight worth a damn, and this has been proven over and over this volume.
It's even
Like,
kind of proven in this
If we're
episode
speaking,
where she's like the closest one to losing her semblance or her aura there. You know, they slam her into the wall and we see it start to flicker. It's like, oh man, she's almost dead.
if
like,
Blake
legit,
is
I
Blake
think-
is Blake is the League of Legends jungler assassin, where if she doesn't kill you instantly, then she's going to die.
Yeah. Like, and the problem with her is that she's decided to go lane instead of jungle. Like, in
Oh
every
yeah, you
fucking
should play
fight.
League of Legends with all of us on the teams on the Discord, because that's a thing
It's
now.
Terrible. We're bad at it. You're gonna
Yeah.
love dying.
It's gonna be great. We're gonna feed. We're gonna get reported and banned. It's gonna be great.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fucking like in theory, should they have ever come up with the idea of ever having something that was even close to stealth or an ambush of any kind play any role in RWBY that is not super insignificant, Blake might have been good at it. But every RWBY fight is a straight up fight where both sides know they're going into it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, that's a way to go about it. It's not always the right way. And you would expect somebody to be like, nah, we're gonna do this instead at some point, having thought of it up. But like, but I mean, it's kind of a held over Monty thing, I would say, because he didn't like doing stuff that was not, you know, a nice little fight. And I would say that's probably a carryover of a problem from him, was that he liked fight scenes and he created a girl who doesn't belong in them because she'll get her ass kicked.
But I think my statement stays true that the Aesop's team was defeated in detail, because like one-on-one, they are a whole lot less terrifying than they are as a whole complete unit together. If Team RWBY was forced,
or especially Elm and Marrow,
like if Clover was there, they would have lost their fucking shorts.
Yeah, Clover is
probably
handedly
And
the strongest member of it.
Yeah, and that could also
like
be
I
part
said,
of it.
if
Like
they
he
had-
does say in episode 3, you know, what would you guys do without? Like he is, you know, the leader. But yeah, sorry, go ahead, Coop.
Yeah, like Blake tries to
like
do
a-
any
like-
funny Shadow Clone Jutsu shit, that Hook's just gonna be waiting for her. She's just gonna be like a
Like a-
bass, and it's post-spawn, and she's like, man, that crawfish looks really fucking good. And it's like, ha, joke's on you! It's not a real crawfish! And then you pull out a 12-pounder. It's great.
Damn.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead,
like I was saying, it's if they had stuck inside of the thing, if they hadn't had if Harriet hadn't let Ruby bait her away from the other three in the first place, they would have just gone 4-on-3, probably handled Weiss and Blake first, left Yang for a little while until she was overwhelmed, which would have made it like, if Marrow just points at her, she's done for. Like, if he's got somebody backing him up, and like Marrow points at her, Elm basically one-shots her at this point. Oh yeah, hey, what's up, dude? How do you like the interior of my 2014 Dart GT, painted black with orange racing stripes? Hell yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen an American soldier in an Italian vehicle before.
Oh no.
Yeah, it is.
Technically, Dodge has enlisted the aid of Ferrari in.
No, it's basically, I think it's basically an Alpha.
Whatever.
Yeah, fiat or
Whatever the fuck it is, it's in inches rather than fucking metric, so it's American to me. Yeah. Damn straight it is.
So,
But anyway,
dude, real quick, thoughts on episode 11 because we're talking about episode 12 right now.
oh,
We
we
actually
are.
just started on episode 12.
So is
Yeah.
this just a big single
Yeah,
podcast with 2
kinda.
episodes? Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about episode 11 for about half an hour, and then
Okay,
and
yeah.
we just started talking about episode 12 like less than 10
Just
minutes.
dole out all of your opinions,
Okay.
and we'll
Dude
all
has the
stay
floor
silent.
for 10 to 20 minutes. No one gets
Okay,
to speak.
so I am I'm gonna do my intro first. Hi, I am late to the podcast. I am Dude. There we go. Done with that.
Nice.
Sorry. I thought I read media's message slightly wrong, and so I'm here late. Okay, 11 was a fan-fucking-tastic episode. It was the best episode of the volume. I think everybody's probably already said that, right? I'm assuming.
We've
Yeah.
said best episode of the series, even.
Me and Coop
I
did.
would honestly agree with that. I watched it again and I thought, you know what? I love Kuroyuri, but this is the best episode of the series. I was even saying that right after I watched, like, it might be my favorite episode of the series so far. It was that good. I mean, it had everything, like, except for enough Renora for my liking. But, like, aside from that, it had everything, man. I actually need to go back and I have so many things in my brain right now, just all the school shit and everything. Sorry, so I'm a little scatterbrained. This is the one. Well, obviously, this is the one where the Ironwood versus Watts fight, which was, God, that's one of the coolest fights in RWBY ever.
Yeah.
Like, they could easily fuck up, like, all the gravity stuff and the counting thing and all, but it worked so well. It was really cool. And one of the things I really loved about it was that they made it obvious that Ironwood completely outmatched Watts in terms of, like, his actual fighting ability. And he isn't an idiot. Like, obviously he's not all brawn, but Tyrion, I keep saying Tyrion. I keep thinking Tyrion, but Watts has the advantage just in terms of he kind of he has that control, not necessarily that he that he's like smarter. He just because kind of prepared for that. I also love, the only thing is I almost kind of wish, like, I don't know, the arm thing, that he got away too easy with that. Like, just his arm got burned or whatever. Like, I don't know. I kind of thought he would have had to, like, chop his arm off or something to get out of that. That kind of would have been more badass.
He probably will still need to amputate, but yeah.
Okay, if that's what happens, it's fine. But even then, if that's the case, then that should have happened right away. Like, that would have been more impactful of a moment, I think, personally.
Here's the thing about that, dude, and I've kind of been over this. Chopping your arm off is pretty badass, but unfortunately, Ironwood has guns, not bladed instruments with which to do so. So he probably was like, damn, I wish I had some sort of sword so I could chop my arm off. Guess I just have to rip it the fuck out.
Hey,
okay, yeah, that works.
He could just simply kung fu grip his other arm off of his robotic arm.
Oh yeah, that's
true.
true.
There we go. That's a good point, High Powered.
He could just be like,
To literally crack it like a fucking lobster, like a lobster claw. And pull a Piccolo.
I also love that whole scene with Team RWBY, Iron Daddy, and the Aesops all in the same room together, and kind of just how they all think about things. Like, just almost like you're getting all their philosophies real quickly again. And I'm just so happy that all the consequences that we thought were going to be gone weren't actually gone. It's great. All those consequences are still very much in play.
And they made it work.
Yes, they made it work.
Yeah.
Like, they made us think it was going to work, that it was gone, and it didn't get brought back in a bullshit way. It got brought back in a way that makes sense. It was, excuse me, Ironwood was going to tolerate it because things were working out. Now that things aren't working out, he's not going to tolerate it anymore, which you can understand. That it makes sense to me. I understand what's great about this scene, and again, I am pleasantly surprised that writers of such strong political leanings were able to do this well, in my opinion, is that you get the points of view of the Aesops, of Ironwood, and of Team RWBY, and I can understand and sympathize with all three groups.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the best things about this scene and this episode, and it's something that RWBY, they haven't really done this that well before, where it's just black and white, and they make Adam such a piece of shit and only a piece of shit, and they make him even worse. Then they double down on making him worse, and obviously Cinder's just a piece of shit, and obviously Raven's just a piece of shit. I love how none of these characters are supposed to be villains, and they don't just turn Ironwood into a villain completely. Like, yeah, he's who they're kind of fighting against now, but I can understand why he's thinking the way he's thinking and why he's doing what he's doing. From my outside perspective, and this is a fictional world, do I agree with him? No, I slightly don't agree with him. I actually do side with Team RWBY in this case, which I'm surprised I do, but I do.
Well,
but
you're
I
wrong
still
about that.
I still understand Ironwood's point of view and what he's doing completely. Totally get it. And like I said, this is a point of view from this show's not real. First of all, I'm an outsider watching a show. From that point of view, I agree with Team RWBY. But my point is that I could completely understand switching my point of view based on learning different information or whatever. And I'm glad the show and the writers have made it feel that way. That's really cool. And I understand even the point of the Aesops following orders. Like, that's what they do. That's what they're supposed to do. They've set that up. They're not being jerks. They're not trying to, be assholes or anything. They're just doing what they think they're supposed to do. Now there's more issues with some of the motivations and logic in the next episode that kind of hurt this a little bit, but in this episode, it's not a problem at all, in my opinion. So I love that too. It's one of the best. It is the best job RWBY has done of all of that. The Salem reveal here was also really cool because it's not actually her, but the way she appears is fucking scary as shit. I love the effect they put on her. I love the way she just totally fucks with RWBY, and I love seeing RWBY in distress and not happy and finally having like some actual fucking vulnerability. That's nice. I thought that was done well. I agree with Media's point from the what he said in his review, where now we finally have Yang actually comforting RWBY. It took this, but
team attack.
Yeah, but that was good to see. I thought that was done well. I thought it was cool to just have her like kind of speak, but not actually be there and say, "Hey, I'm coming for you, bitches. Y'all about to get fucked." So I thought that was good too. Yeah, this episode was just fucking awesome, and Ironwood best character. It's great. Even like I said, I don't completely agree with him. He's just fucking awesome, and all the stuff with him so far has been really good. Just glad they kind of mostly not fixed, but like all the stuff, most of the stuff we were like kind of worried about or not happy about from a lot of the stuff, at least. Not, the Bumblebee stuff's still an issue, and what's the other thing? Oh, no, it was a good episode. Some slight thoughts on episode 12. Where are we with that right now, or should I just?
We've just been talking about
Aesops
RWBY versus Aesops.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the Elm and Willow versus Blake and Yang.
Okay, all right. But yeah, episode 11, fucking amazing. It's so goddamn good. This is like RWBY on the level of real TV shows.
But just to update you, the general consensus is that Aesops was defeated in detail. Is that's why they were defeated. Is on like 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 fights, they are nowhere near as dangerous as in a 4-on-4 fight.
Yes, that was I
5-on-4.
If we didn't give credit already to Kitty Kirishima's explanation in our one of our podcast.
Want to go ahead and read that?
Read that shit off.
Yeah, let's read it.
I will happily read that off real quick. But the way she explained it, I thought was pretty fucking on point. So Kitty said, "I just want to point out that RWBY has better." So this is in regards to how RWBY was able to defeat the Aesops and how it makes sense and how it's not bullshit. And by the way, I completely agree that I never
the
even thought it
Aesops
was
were not
bullshit.
nerfed.
I never thought it was bullshit for a second. It was completely believable the whole time for me. So Kitty says, quote, I just want to point out that RWBY has better weapons than they do and better semblances. Marrow easily could have stopped them before a fight broke out at all, but he didn't because he wasn't ready to fight. That was the only time his semblance could have been useful at all. It's severely limited, unlike everyone else's. He really can't use it when he's on his own, and his weapon isn't great either. It's a gun, but also a sharp boomerang. And while he's not holding it, he's basically disarmed. Harriet has speed and strength to her arm enhancements. While she's skilled in combat, RWBY has a scythe and can keep her at a distance. She's also fast, but her ability to burst into petals allows her to evade obstacles. Elm and Vine speak for themselves. Elm is a powerhouse who uses her semblance to keep her on her feet, but she's slow and stationary. Vine is a special case. His semblance isn't special, but a more creative person could certainly do more. Their weapons are pretty basic in general. So, somebody else also pointed out later. Robert correctly pointed out. I think Marrow's semblance affects everyone in his field of vision, so he'd been freezing his teammates as well. So it's another reason why Marrow couldn't use his semblance at the beginning. I think Kitty's point also stands for that. And I also agree. I know the scythe is impractical, but in RWBY logic, the scythe is a powerful fucking weapon. Okay,
hold up. In this one case, I will say, given all of my HEMA autism, the scythe is still better than being unarmed. If you have to fight somebody unarmed, or you've got a scythe laying next to you that you can pick up the damn scythe and just fucking swing it at the bitches.
Because at the end of the day, all Harriet has is fancy fucking brass knuckles.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
She doesn't have projectile at all. And RWBY's scythe, not only is it, powerful, it's got weapons at both ends, by the way. It's pointy at both ends. It's got bullets, so she can shoot at range. Wait, she can obviously handle it in an inhuman way with the speed she can handle it with. So it's an actual weapon with range. Whereas basically Harriet has really shitty versions of Yang's weapons. And Yang's weapons have been upgraded. Now she's got like little grenades and shit, which is, I really like the little touches they gave with Yang's weapons.
Like one of my favorite things about this fight was actually the Bumblebee teamwork moment to defeat Vine, because it really put into focus that I never want to see Yang throw Blake using Gamble Shroud ever again. That should be their go-to combo. Put a bunch of bombs on Blake, throw her at the enemy, have her sub out, and then just blow them to Kingdom Come.
Allah Akbar is faintly in the distance.
Semblance. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
make
a
Blake
suicide
the
tactic without the
12-year-old
suicide.
child with a bomb vest on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so Harriet has worse versions of Yang's weapons. She has a worse version of RWBY's semblance. So in both of those aspects, she's outmatched. I love
she's the one that actually like almost wins.
Yeah,
exactly. Even after RWBY restrains her, she's still like putting up a decent fight.
God damn it. I'm so jealous of RWBY. I would love to be RWBY whenever fucking Harriet's spinning around my head between her thighs. God damn it. Oh man.
That feel when no tomboy GF.
Now, here's the funny thing though. This is what I thought about this. Like, if this was if this was a Marvel Avengers movie and Harriet was Black Widow doing that fucking spinning around a dude's head with her thighs, like, she would have broken a dude's neck and like called it a fucking day. Like, if this was like in a Marvel action movie and RWBY was doing that, she would just snap the person's neck and then fucking twirled around and like made the 10-point landing.
Yeah.
Guys, should I empty out my fucking
your piss
lemon
jar
bleach bottle? Yeah, so I can actually piss in it.
Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
Sweet.
I mean, and Marrow, like, in terms of fighting ability, like, he never really seemed all that impressive in the first place. My biggest complaint was that Weiston beat him faster. Because let's be honest, she's the best fighter on Team RWBY.
Also,
she's got the most OP semblance. She's got the most OP weapon. She's so broken tier.
And they finally figured that out in this episode.
So, because I saw a lot of people be like, "But Aesops are the best." when is it actually stated by
Yeah.
someone outside of the Aesops that they're the best? They're the
Yeah.
top. They're the most loyal, which is why this fight is even happening.
Yep.
Is they're just hardcore loyal to Ironwood.
Yeah.
But I just
And again, it
okay.
goes.
I got kind of a soapbox about power scaling.
All right, then I want to go.
All right.
Power scaling isn't all that important because without actual hard numbers, which shows never give anyway, there's nothing to actually scale. Like
It's a visual art. It's
blowing
not
up a
something you
house,
just say.
like blowing up a house and blowing up a mountain. You would think blowing up the mountain's a more impressive feat, but what if that mountain's made out of like tissue paper and is hollowed out anyway? Like there's so many factors that go into a fight, and a lot of it. One of those is emotional state. Team RWBY are level-headed throughout all of this, whereas Elm especially is just angry, like they betrayed us. Rah!
And Harriet, yeah.
And Harriet kind of loses her cool at the end, which is why she face plants Weiss's ice wall, which is another reason why Weiss is OP, because walls are OP in this, floors are OP, and Weiss can create walls.
Weiss actually defeats 2 people in this, so they did actually finally realize that Weiss is OP because she wins 2 fights basically.
Yeah,
I will say
she's
this.
ever really lost was when someone had a weapon that could just blast through her wall.
Yeah.
I will say this, RWBY, being the 12-year-old Xbox Live gamer she is, didn't like having her kill stealed and called Weiss the N-word several times after that. this was a cut scene.
In her headcanon shit.
Yeah.
No, the actual deleted scene is RWBY teabagging Harriet right after that. Just like dip, dip, dip. But
this fight was
there's narrative value because until you see 2 characters fight, there's no way of actually knowing who's going to win. And I'm gonna bring up Star Wars, the original trilogy, because it's everyone knows it.
Everybody fucking knows that shit.
By this exact same power scaling logic, Luke should have never been able to even touch Vader. Vader was still a force to be reckoned with. He still had a lot of power. He was a combat genius who invented his own saber style in order to make up for all of his limitations in the suit. And him and Luke were evenly matched in Return of the Jedi, and Luke turned the tables through raw talent and emotional power, which is, the Force is very much linked to emotions. And another thing was that like Vader was conflicted and didn't want to kill Luke, and we get a little bit of that with Marrow and with Vine. Vine even tells them to like kind of cool it that they're trying to arrest them, not kill them, and almost just like, I'm doing what is necessary.
Well, Marrow says that to Harriet.
Yeah.
Well, like I said,
Yeah, Marrow says that to Harriet. Elm says to Vine, "Stop don't go soft," and he says, "Are you telling me or yourself?"
Oh, yeah. I don't remember the actual.
Harriet's the one who says, "Yeah, that."
Like I said, I don't think the fucking the way the fights play out makes sense. I don't like the way that Aesop's is. I think they should have done them differently.
You think they should have been a little smarter, or?
I think they should have been a fuck of a lot smarter. I think they should have had RWBY like on the fucking ropes until they pull out like some pretty decent trump cards or some sort of clever schemes that they come up with on the fly or improvise, instead of.
I mean, they kind of did with what they did to Vine, but yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah. I feel like I think at the beginning, Blake and Yang weren't necessarily winning. That was pretty evenly matched, and they kind of got hit pretty hard at the beginning. And RWBY almost got beat by Harriet. The only one who was in complete control the whole time was Weiss, which makes sense. She's the best fighter of all. She's got the best, and she's fighting the weakest person. It's the best person on their team versus the weakest on the other team.
That's the thing I don't like about the way they handle Weiss too, but they can't really do anything about it at this point because they've
Yeah.
solidified that too much about her. And like, if you,
Well,
the thing is, the only thing they can do with Weiss is put her up in a fight against like a maiden or something at this point. Like that's
Yeah.
like,
and we're
legit, she
technically
has
gonna
to
have
go
that
up-
fight next episode with Winter.
I don't
Yeah.
mind that. I think it makes sense the way the ASOS behaved because they're angry, they're not being very rational, and Clover's not there to keep them acting as a team.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
big
Yeah,
part of it.
they don't have any teamwork in this. Like the most cohesion is with Vine and Elm, and all Vine's doing is just throwing rocks while
Yeah,
Elm
probably.
tries bullying Yang.
And it's like the
And
way
this-
things got set up. I mean, like Harry obviously is gonna chase after Ruby, so of course she's gonna go do that. And
Yeah.
it was smart for Ruby to separate them. Like I'm gonna say that was on purpose. I'm just gonna assume she's
Yeah.
smart enough to do that. So that and she knew somebody would. She probably figured Harry would chase after her, and she did, and that was smart, and
Yeah.
it worked out for them. So I think
Very
was-
hot. Yeah.
the Aesops also
yeah.
remember the Aesops. They're smart, but again, without Clover there, I can believe them being less intelligent and being less rational.
They should. Here's the thing about that though, is that they all fire teams should have an A slash. Okay, you got your fire team leader, yes, but you've also got your fire team A slash who will take over if your fire team leader gets fucking killed or isn't there. So like, Harriet probably should have acted like a real A slash and taken charge and stayed with her group instead of chasing off after Ruby, because like
Well,
I
I
said
think
before,
Vine would have been. I think Vine would have been next in line personally, but
yeah, maybe Vine would have been a better idea. Like, either way, Aesop's probably would have won if Harriet just hadn't haired off after Ruby. That's
and I
my
could
thing.
understand that. Maybe like it definitely would have been a lot closer, and they definitely could have won in that case. Absolutely.
If it's
Yeah.
4-on-3 and you've got all your dudes there against only 3 of the other team's dudes, you probably have an advantage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? She did, and I can understand why she did. So then everything else that follows makes sense. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm
It
good
was
with all
in
that.
character for Harriet to do that because
Yep.
they introduced her as the hothead. Like, I understand from like a military perspective, it's like this is not how
Really
you handle
stupid.
this
It's
situation.
not.
This is I understand from a military perspective, it's like this is completely wrong. This is not how you do this. It's they need to
Us
start
military guys are
consulting with
scared
Jeff-
little penguins
Jeff
who
Ramsey
huddle
more.
together with our guns
But-
pointed out in the hopes that we won't get killed. That's what we are at the end of the day. And they've not huddled together like they should have, like the cute little penguins us military types are on the inside.
Yeah. So I completely understand where you're talking about, Cooper. Like, I don't know. Sorry, Media, did you want to finish your soapbox? Did you still have some stuff to talk about? Because I have some stuff
Not
to
that,
talk about.
I mean, I could just throw out example after example of why
Okay.
power scaling never actually exists in most anime, at least. Like an example I used recently was All Might in My Hero Academia. Like the only glimpse we get of him being stronger than any of the other heroes is when he basically one shots the flood villain, but we don't know how strong that flood villain is. Like, we know he's kind of keeping a lot of these minor heroes at bay because of his surroundings, and that's it, really. The heroes aren't even fighting him. They're just like too cautious about like civilian casualties to try to fight him, and All Might's just like, hold up, I got this, and then punches him. And then again, like the Nomu fight is the only time that we see like, okay, yeah, All Might can take on things that most other, if not any other hero, just can't, because the Nomu, like we saw the Nomu completely mop the floor with Aizawa, who we had just seen take on a bunch of scrubs without breaking a sweat, and so we kind of got the power scaling of All Might is slightly stronger than Nomu. Nomu is league stronger than Aizawa, and Aizawa is league stronger than your average scrub.
Who
and
students
so-
can beat.
So, without actually seeing matchups like that, we don't have power scaling. And the only other fight Aesops has really been a part of is them fighting the same Centipede team RWBY was and doing just as well with them. and then them fighting the Ice Geist, the Frostus Gigas, which was a type of Grim that we see Team Ranger defeat back in Volume 4. Without even Jean's help, it was just Ruby, Nora, and Red. And then Jean's just like getting nutshotted on boulders and shit.
Because the show hates him. Yeah.
Another thing,
I'm the strategist.
one thing real quick, and I'll let Robert go because I'm sure Robert's going to say more. Also, like, do we really know what the actual experience of the Ace Ops is, right? Like,
we know Marrow's like the rookie and like a fresh Atlas
but like
graduate.
I'm saying, like, what
That's
really
about it.
difficult stuff have they gone against? I would argue that possibly Team RWBY has had to face more than they have, and then plus training with them would actually arguably could put Team RWBY ahead of them, or at least on par with them. And then plus the situation makes it even more believable that they win.
Especially in RWBY's case herself, because she's still kind of like figuring out what exactly her semblance is, and actually like for the first time thinking about it differently than what the effects are, and she really utilizes that to that's how she's able to get the drop. That's how she's able to get past Ironwood last episode. It's how she's able to get Harriet away from the rest of the teams, and it's how she's able to like Harriet gets her in like a headlock or something, and then Ruby just scatters around her, grabs the cuffs, and wraps her up. Like after that, like Harriet could be at like 90% power, and Ruby's at 5% power, and Ruby wins. That's another reason why power scaling doesn't ever really exist, is because strategy is also a thing, and you can take out people before they're exhausted.
Like I keep saying, in-universe explanations for all of this, perfectly on point. It makes logical sense within the world. Meta stuff, if you go meta with it, it immediately starts to break down, which you could say that about like everything and everything, but that you actually can't say that about everything. There are some things that make meta sense too. Like this is like a good fight, and overall I'm pretty much satisfied with it. I just don't really like the way Ace.
As a military man, you're watching it and you're going, "Grr, that is not how you handle it."
Yeah,
I totally
it's just
understand
my
that.
thing, probably. It's
yeah.
It happens every time anything involving weapons or strategy or anything along those lines comes up with me. It's my it's my Achilles heel, really. But like,
I can understand
but
why.
anyway, we've spent a lot of time on this. Let's just.
Sorry, can I just?
It's Robert's turn. Yeah. Sorry.
I will be quick with it. Sorry, I will be quick with this one. But like Media said, as far as power scaling goes, in episode 3, we see the Ace Ops in action. We see nothing that really indicates that they are better than Team RWBY in terms of strength, speed, or even necessarily like intellect or skill. We see nothing to indicate that. What we see is that they are a cohesive unit and that they are prepared for the situation. They see, this giant Grim. They, know that they can't let stuff touch the ground or it'll blow up, and they know exactly how to handle that situation. And so, like, they're prepared for the situation. This fight against Team RWBY, they are not prepared for the situation. Marrow is reluctant to fight them. He, basically says right away, whoa, we're not going to do this, right? And Harriet, calls him out on holding back and stuff like that. And then Vine and Elm both interact with each other, and she's like, stop being soft. And he says, are you telling me or yourself? Indicating that they are either not taking the fight seriously or subconsciously holding back, or, some combination of the other, and they're calling each other out on it. And so, that's also a part of it. And then I love that moment where like Vine goes down. Like, I like that they treat that from a writing standpoint. That's good, because they treat that as that kind of turning point in the fight, where like you see Marrow and Elm looking at it and getting all wide-eyed, like, holy crap, they might actually be able to beat us. And you see, Team RWBY looking at it like, holy crap, we can actually beat them. So again, is that like that seems to that again suggests that they weren't really taking the fight seriously, and that's perhaps why Harriet lets her like lets her hot-headedness, which is in character for her. We've seen that she's hot, that she's a hothead before. We've seen that, she's kind of that she had a bit of a friendly rivalry with Ruby and then got a little annoyed with her, and that's why she runs after her and stuff like that. So yeah, no, the Aesops were not. So they took away their like preparations, they took away like their professionalism, and that's how Team RWBY was able to beat these guys. And yeah, and so that's my whole take on it there. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So real quick, let's hit on the little Team Juniper and Oscar scene.
Sure.
So like
it is really short.
Oscar punches Neo. The end.
Oscar somehow punches Neo, which is kind of dumb.
This was dumb. Yeah, I was gonna say this was dumb.
Also, Oscar doing stuff off screen again.
I'll say this: we might in the next episode get a flashback to that, telling us what will happen. But I somewhat doubt that they'll do it.
Oh God! If we get Neo impersonating Ruby seducing Oscar, that would be hilarious. Oh man!
I don't want a flashback of that. I don't care. I want to. They got so shafted these past 2 episodes that like I just want to see them actually do something. Also, by the way, that thing we talked about previously of is Ren going to side with Iron Daddy? That's obviously
Apparently
not happening because it's
Yeah,
way
no.
too late for him to do that. If
Yeah,
they did that at this point, it's just straight up bad writing because there's no tension there because Team RWBY already won. They already found whatever happens with Neo doesn't really matter for that. So that obviously isn't happening. So that really was just a whatever moment that probably should have been cut. And I'm assuming somebody probably wanted to cut it. And I don't really know. I was expecting them to touch on it more. So I guess we'll do predictions later, but I do think that they did get a little too shafted here, especially in favor of Crow. And like, we'll talk about it later, I guess, but I just don't care. So I think they should have gotten more. And yeah, Oscar would not be able to punch Neo. Oh my God. Like, as well as they like did everything.
Especially not with that super telegraphed punch.
Yeah, especially with that, like, God, stop trying to make Oscar look cool. Please. Stop trying to make him look competent. Stop trying to make him look formidable. He fucking sucks. I'm back on the fuck Oscar train. Kill Oscar. He sucks. That was so lame. And honestly, not just Oscar, nobody would have been able to land a punch on Neo there. Nobody. That's like the whole point, is that you don't land shit on her. So with no weapon, you just run at her and punch her. Nobody's gonna land that punch, whether it's Oscar or not, right? So it's already stupid no matter who they did that with. It's just even worse when it's Oscar.
Yeah, the implication with Neo's fight. I'm sorry, Robert, you go first. My bad.
Okay. One quick thing to talk about. I've seen some people saying, "Oh, this is the first time on Neo." It's not actually. Cinder landed one on him. Volume 6, episode 5, minute 3, second 15.
Yeah. Well, Cinder's also just a goddamn powerhouse.
So Cinder landed a hit on him. I am also a little annoyed. I don't know. I think the thing that I'm most annoyed with in regards to this is the apparent implication that Neo is gonna somehow be able to take on all 3 members of Team Junior. Because I hope that she's gonna do some sort of hide and seek thing, because I do not, because if Team Junior has had because Team Junior has had like the same experiences, the same training that Team RWBY has, so they should be on the same. So like we've established this episode that Team RWBY rose to the level of the Aesops. Also, I really love that line from RWBY, by the way. We're the best team. We're the best huntsman in all of Atlas. You were, then you trained us. That was awesome. And so Neo should not be able to take on all 3 of them all 3 of Team Junior at the same time.
4. And it's Team Juniper. Oscar is absolutely an official member of Team
Is
Juniper
the P.
at this point. But I think
you
if
hurt
Sock
my
reminded
soul
us
there.
that Neo's
I
gonna
hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate
I
it.
know, I'm not fond of
Kill
it
him.
either. It
Kill
does
him.
make me
Kill
like
him.
Sean
Kill
more,
him in the
though.
face.
Oh god,
Socko
it's
Card
Team Orange now.
Socko Card reminded us that that Neo is going to do that. They said a long time ago Neo would do something we hate. Please, please, please let it be kill Oscar.
Yeah, let it be kill Oscar, and they actually think we'd be upset about that. Oh my god, that'd be the
Yeah.
best thing ever.
I mean, the fandom would be upset. We wouldn't, but the fandom would.
well, the smart people would be happy. Let's be honest. And
Yeah.
no, it's not just us. There are other people that hate Oscar. Okay.
Yeah. Also, Coop and I were talking on the Discord that Neo probably like it's implied that Neo probably impersonated Ruby at some point. I want Ruby to show up, Oscar to attack her, and Jean to beat the crap out of him. Don't ever touch her again. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah. Anyway.
High
So
power.
now. Yeah.
Or whoever wants.
Oh no, I'm good now. I had a thought, but I'm like, nah, I'm good. It'll come back to me.
Well, all right then. Let's, I guess, just move on to
the man
absolute
demoralizing of Crow.
Yeah,
this episode
here's
was
the
almost
thing.
so good, and then there was this garbage.
This is sort of is a little bit opposite to the Aesop's fight, where the fight itself, it looks cool, but the reasons
The
for the
context
fight
makes
in
absolutely
show,
no reason. And it's not in
the-
character for any. Well, it's in character for Robin, but it's not in character for Crow. It's not really in character for Clover. I do not expect this level of stupidity for him. Like, it's not a result of anyone's character flaws. It's just the result of sheer stupidity. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and just break down the whole thing so that we can see every instance in which nothing makes sense here. So, to start off, we've got Crow, Robin, Tyrion, and Clover in an airship taking Clover to Atlas to be imprisoned. Clover gets a message on his scroll that Crow and Team Ruby and Team Juniper, all of them, are now wanted criminals. Clover's like, Crow, bro, I'm real sorry about this, but I gotta bring you into Ironwood now, it looks like. And then Robin's like, oh, what? You wanna fucking bring him into Ironwood and I'm not on the wanted list at all? And fuck you, I hate you in Ironwood now for no fucking reason? And he's like, calm down, Robin. And Crow's also like, yeah, calm down, Robin. Are you on your period or something? What the fuck's going on right now? Like, so then Robin fucking whips out her fucking bow on Clover, being like, pointing it at him, being like, I'm gonna fucking shoot you right in the face, motherfucker. And then Crow's just sitting there being like, hey, it's not a big deal, Robin. I'll go in with him up to Atlas. I'm not really super worried about this. Let's just explain this to Ironwood. Robin decides she's going to fucking shoot the guy anyway. And so Clover, obviously, in self-defense, rushes forward and attacks her. And at this point, Crow is like,
and Robin does
nah,
all of
dog,
this while being egged on by Tyrion. Being egged,
yeah.
She decides to take the advice of a serial killer.
Yeah, and then Crow like fucking, so Crow whips out his sword. He's like, okay, you don't have to hit Robin with that thing or anything. And then basically fucking Tyrion busts out of his shit while everybody's distracted. Tyrion actually behaves smartly in this. Like, he's the smartest one out of all three.
Tyrion's literally reading the script. During that entire sequence, he's sitting there with the script in hand as he's watching them all fight, and he's like, all right, I guess I gotta knock out the pilots now. And then he does that,
Deadpool in that.
And then he crashes the plane with survivors.
Okay, and upon the plane crash, everything starts being even more stupid. Robin is knocked out, so we no longer have to deal with her stupidity. But Crow, who not 5 fucking minutes ago was like, yeah, you know what, Clover, I'm fine going up to Atlas and talking with Ironwood, comes out of the crash. Clover's like, bro, we got to take Robin up to Atlas to get her medical attention and so you guys can talk to Ironwood. And Crow's like, nah, dog, I changed my mind for no fucking reason in 2 seconds. And now I'm not going to talk to Ironwood or go up to Atlas to get medical attention for the chick that I was specifically trying to keep unharmed by not having you hit her.
Jesus
like-
Christ, what if this is ship confirmed between Crow X Robin?
I don't know what the fuck's going on in his head. I think he hit it real hard in the crash and it fucked up his brain because there's no explanation for how the hell he changed his fucking mind about what to do in this situation between now and then. And so, anyway, he starts fighting Clover because I guess that's how they're fucking gonna do it. So they get into a fight. And Tyrion's there, and he's like, fuck it, I'll join in. Fighting's fun for me. And so they get into this 3-way fight. And they're going at each other. And they're throwing a little bit of back and forth about stuff that doesn't matter. And eventually, fucking Tyrion gets Crow in a conversation where he's like, yo, Crow, remember that time I poisoned your ass? You want to fight me over that? And the Crow's like, yeah, I want to fight you over that. That's what I'm doing right now. But then Tyrion's like, well, hold up. Our fight is getting interfered with by Clover over here. So if you help me take him out, then we can have a fair one-on-one competition, bro. And then Crow's like, this is a serial killer psychopath who I know for a fact it just hates people and murders them, and I specifically never wanted to align with before, but I trust him now, and I think this is going to work out good if I get on his side instead of the guy who I was actually friends with.
He tried, though.
But Clover wouldn't let him,
Like,
so...
okay, because
that doesn't make what Crow does any less...
up.
That doesn't make siding
because,
with Tyrion
okay,
any less stupid.
So we got a tier list I want to do. The levels of stupidity.
I was gonna say, is this a levels of stupidity tier list?
Three of
Media has the
characters
floor.
just do nothing but stupid shit. Let's start with Robin taking the goddamn cake for this entire volume and is right up there with Cinder and Raven in Volume 5 for being the biggest dumb bitch of the entire series. So she gets the same notification. She gets the same notification, the same APB or whatever it's called, that Clover does, asking for Team RWBY, Juniper, and Crow to be arrested. And then she makes the assumption that Ironwood is just trying to take out people that disagree with him. Because,
I mean, she did get Ruby's message also. She heard Ruby's message.
Well, she heard what Ironwood is planning.
Yeah.
Like that has... I don't even know why Juniper is on that. They're a different team, but whatever. Who cares? And so she makes that assumption. And then it's like, Ironwood underestimated me again. Like, when did he underestimate you? If anything, he overestimated you because you are like the weakest ass fighter in this entire show. I don't even think she could beat Jean. I think Jean would...
That shouldn't be an accomplishment anymore, but yeah.
Like,
well, she wants to be beaten by John so she could get knocked up with that, like, prized fucking breeding seed.
What would happen is she would get in a fight with John, and John would merely hold her down and unzip, and she'd be like, no, please don't. And then she'd see it and be like, oh, please,
never mind.
And so, the biggest big dumb brain move she does is start the fight on the airship, flying hundreds, if not thousands of feet in the air, with
a serial killer on
a trained, Atlas, one of Ironwood's right hand men, Crow, and Tyrion just sitting back, egging her on, and she sides with him first. Like, she sides with Tyrion, and like, yeah, this is a good idea.
Hey,
I'm gonna side with the serial killer who just wants us all to die.
Hey, Robin, remember that time I attempted murder on you? Doesn't that make us friends? Don't you want to listen to me for that?
Yeah.
And then after that, I would say Clover. Clover and Crow are neck and neck, but I'm gonna say Clover after having just rewatched the episode through Team Frostbite's reaction and getting their thoughts on it, because when Tyrion first starts fighting them, and it is a 3-way, and it is actually a really good animated fight scene. It's very engaging and stuff. Crow
Just
goes to
watch it on
focus on
context.
Crow goes to focus on Clover or Crow goes to focus on Tyrion, and Clover just ganks him. Like he goes to swing at Tyrion, and Clover's just like, "Nope, you're not touching him." And then Crow's like, "All right, fine then. I'll take you out first." And so that was a tactical decision. And Crow was thinking, Crow's plan was, take out Clover and then take on Tyrion, and try to beat them both. Take Clover out so he can focus exclusively on Tyrion. The only real dumb thing he does is take his eyes off Tyrion when he's battling Clover there at the end. He should not have,
Especially not lost track of
taken
his
eyes off
weapon.
Tyrion.
And then he gets surprised when the serial killer kills a guy in front of
I don't
him
think
for
he's so much surprised as much as he's self-loathing about that. He's like, God damn, I took my eyes off him, and now look.
It's like,
No,
man,
no,
that
no,
bottle
no,
sure
but
does
I
look
still-
tempting now.
Yeah.
I still think the stupidest thing was helping Tyrion, but Robin would have absolutely done that too. Like you said, she did it first, so I think Crow and Robin, or I think Crow's second.
Well, if Robin
for
wasn't such a
stupid,
dumb bitch,
Yeah,
none
I
of
would
these things would have happened.
put Crow in second. I'd put
and
Robin
Crow
at
is
first.
and Crow is basically has a nasty case of back and forth, like I can't pronounce this word. It's like obfuscating stupidity or something. I don't know how it's pronounced, but obfuscating
Her
stupidity, where
stupidity
stupid
infects
levels
them.
just go up and down.
Like
basically.
her
Yeah.
stupidity infects Clover and Crow.
I have a
Like
question.
Fucking virus.
I have a
And-
question. Yeah, like the coronavirus.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, Clover was
If you're
coughing
in
up a lot of
Wuhan
blood at the
district
end of
right
that.
Now,
Now, I have a question.
Go for it.
What if Robin Hill was copacetic and fighting during the 4-way battle royale, and Clover was the one that died as Tyrion T-poses away off into the background as
Wait, Clover.
No,
or
I'm sorry.
Clover did die.
If what if Robin Hill died and Clover survived, but Tyrion just simply T-poses away after
And Crow also survived.
Yeah, Clover and Crow survive, but Robin dies as Tyrion runs away after non-consensually penetrating Robin Hill.
I don't think I can care any less than I already do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
one of
would-
my biggest problems with this scene.
I don't care about Clover's death. I don't care about Robin's death. I don't care if Crow dies now. In fact,
Kinda,
before I
want
wanted
Crow
him to die for the thematic the thematic appropriateness, for the eventual catharsis, to put give,
That's the real
like, the
casualty
raising
of this
the
fight. You're right,
stakes.
Rob. You're right,
But-
Robert.
But now I want Crow to die because I am not interested in his character arc where he goes to get revenge on Tyrion for a murder he helped him commit.
Honestly, that makes it more engaging for me, and I would certainly care a lot more if I cared more about Crow in general.
Here's the thing: they could have
then
still
there's
made
that-
this Crow's fault without him being stupid. All right, go ahead. I'll talk about it.
yeah,
this.
Yeah, because I
don't
want to
know
talk
if
about
they
this
could.
too.
Or
But Tyrion is just an absolute treat throughout all of this.
Oh, he is.
I
Oh,
love
God,
how
I
he
love
has
Tyrion.
a
Yeah.
little pilot
he's
hat.
the only
Yeah,
good part of
Tyrion's
this.
fucking great.
That's what makes it bearable.
He's like he's doing all of the things you would expect.
The only thing that would have made it better is if when Crow's like, "What have you done?" Tyrion just looks at Robin like, "Robin started it."
Fucking hilarious.
Oh,
Yeah.
So cathartic. It made it all worth it for me.
oh my
That's
god.
if Robin died, like one or the other. Had Tyrion called Robin out directly as like, "I'm not at fault here. She's the one who started the fight," and it was her weapon that helped me free my tail.
Robin was the one who crashed the plane. I simply started the fire.
My
And the
biggest
other
issue
thing
with
is
this
if
whole
Robin died.
my biggest issue, well, I have two big issues with this fight besides the stupidity. The stupidity wouldn't bother me the reason actually the stupidity doesn't bother me that much is because I don't care about this, right? If they're gonna have characters be this fucking stupid, thank God it wasn't Ruby. Like, could you imagine if this level of stupidity was in the Ironwood, Ruby, and
Oh
Aesop scene?
god, yeah.
Like
I
they
would
team up with
we
Cinder
kinda
every
or
can't
single
battle
day
something.
of the
Infinity
week
with
I will trade, I would gladly trade that scene being that good for this scene being this bad because I don't care about this scene at all. My biggest issue with it is it continues to shaft Junior. I'm not going to call him Juniper because fuck Oscar. They're still Team Junior. They'll always just be Team Junior. So they shafted Team Junior here just so they could have this thing with Crow. My biggest issue with this is I don't care about any of this. I don't. Crow used to be my favorite character, but for a while now, it's like I just care about the kids. They're not really even kids anymore. I care about, the main 7. And yes, 7 is very on purpose there. The main 7, okay? Ruby,
Barely care
Weiss,
about a
Blake,
lot of them.
Yang, Jean, and Renora. Okay? That's who I care about in this show. That's all I care about in this show at this point. It's all I should care about in this show. That's still 7 characters to give a shit about. That's still probably too many. Okay? Which is why I've always said I'm fine with Ren knocking up getting Nora pregnant, and they just go have their baby, be adorable every once in a while. That's it. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
You know what? And just have the Jean harem, whatever you want to do with that. Fine. Okay, just have Jean and the main. That's fine. Anyway, but it's still just taking away from that, and I don't care about. I like Tyrion. Yeah, Tyrion's enjoyable here. I don't care about Robin. Never did really. Like she's fine. Like her character idea, I get. She hasn't been logical this volume. She's been one of the less good parts. So I don't really care about her, and I don't care about Crow. Like we shouldn't be focusing on him anymore. We have other characters that should be focused on. How about Jean?
Yeah.
How about Ren? How about Nora? Okay, why
Yeah.
aren't we focusing on any of them?
Yeah.
Like Jean's gotten jack shit this whole volume, and as much as I want
And
more
in volume
Renora shit
6.
going on right now, they at least got their fucking kiss. What has Jean done this volume besides get a haircut and have MILFs fawn over him?
Mhm.
That's
mean,
literally
that's
I
pretty
mean,
damn
what else
good.
would
gotten
he want? What else would he want?
Okay, all right, but like in terms of
I don't
like,
want anything else, and I'm living the same life Jean lives, basically.
Getting haircuts and having milks fall over.
I'm back on Tinder, by the way, ladies. If you want to fucking check me out, it's Cooper Delaney Martin. Okay, just fucking hit me up. I'm down with it.
Jesus Christ.
So,
I'm not gonna. I'm on Tinder and I'm not gonna do that.
yeah, you get my point though, right? Of like,
I've been lonely. I was in the desert for nearly a damn year. There was nothing out there. Damn it. I'm
All
living
right.
John's life. I got no GF.
Your GF didn't sacrifice herself though.
You get my point, right? I don't care
Yeah.
about this, right?
Yeah.
And if this is going to be a thing where now we're going to focus on Crow even more, I don't want
Yeah,
that. I don't care.
And
Yeah.
I like what
And I don't care about Clover. Sorry, one last
yeah.
thing. I don't care about Clover. Like they try to make they tried to end. That's the worst part of this episode. It's like they tried to end this episode on this like big emotional beat where Crow's so sad that Clover died. I don't give a fuck, man. I don't give any fucks about that.
I
Like,
think the writing was kind of on the wall about Clover dying for a while.
Yeah.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
who
And
cares?
people pointed
We've
out
known it for
everything.
like a volume, and like he's an okay character, but I don't give a shit, and I don't even give a shit that Crow liked him. I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about that. 'Cause
As
I don't. We
he's-
shouldn't care about Crow anymore.
Like, honestly, Clover is just like a normal, nice guy. He's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like not really super original or unique or anything.
Yeah,
like,
I don't dislike him, but
He's kind of just
He's-
your basic
he's-
soldier
Yeah,
boy.
one thing
He's
I
a
do
cool,
like
chill
about
dude.
yeah,
one
he's
thing I like
Captain
about Crow
America.
in this though, one thing I like about Crow in this is his line like when Clover's like it doesn't have to be this way, and Crow's like you don't know my friends. This is how it always turns out, which
Yeah.
is possibly a dig at Ty, certainly a dig at Raven. Even
Have
though
you
they're
met my
family,
sister?
but like, yeah, and this isn't the first person he lost, and I did, towards the beginning of the volume, I like the idea of Clover helping Crow like open up and accept the fact that he can still be a team player and doesn't have to be a loner. And they don't ever really do anything with that. Uh, but I wanted to talk about the controversy and how stupid it is.
Oh, you mean the
I know
queer
what you're
baiting?
talking about.
That they
yeah.
killed two characters that everybody thought were okay.
No,
Or
I
a
mean,
Yeah,
character
what
that
we're talking
everybody
about
thought
here.
was.
Okay, so for the blissfully
I
uninformed
love
of
not
us,
paying attention to
uh,
RWBY fandom anymore. It's so great. I love
you're
it
gonna
so
love this.
much.
Twitter
So-
personalities, you know who you are, assuming you even listened this far into the
oh no, they
podcast.
hate me.
I watched a really good Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament this weekend and didn't have to deal with
Yeah.
any bullshit from RWBY fandom.
So
I went to go see 1917 with my black friend to try and earn
Almost
another N-word pass on top of my previous one. And so I was having a good time too.
yeah, I
Sorry. Go ahead, Ruby.
I was Saturday, and then Sunday was okay, and then today kind of got sick because of bad Chinese food. But
I'm sorry.
Yep.
yeah, so where to begin?
From the
So for
beginning.
the controversy.
Well, so Kruby, and particularly Eddie and Kiersey, who wrote this episode, have come under fire for queer baiting, which, and I said this on Twitter, but it's different saying it on Twitter than saying it on a podcast in front of people. But queer baiting isn't really a thing.
That's what you said. I
So
saw that post.
so queer baiting, and even if it is, which I did see some counter arguments pointing out like what queer baiting really is, and all of those people were in agreement that like even if you do think queer baiting is a thing, this is not queer baiting because they never actually baited the ship. And I don't really think ship baiting is necessarily a thing in the confines of a story either. You can tease and stuff, but what constitutes romantic intent is ultimately up to the writers, and shipping itself should be left to the fandom. I feel, um, and so a couple people really projected hard onto Crow and Clover. Uh, so hard that if they were projecting any harder, they'd blow up
Green Lantern?
Alderaan or something. They'd fucking cause infinite crisis. Uh, like that's just how hard they were projecting onto this relationship, and then got like
I thought he
super
caused 0
butthurt.
hour.
Got super butthurt about it to the point where like they actually got the attention of the writers, who then made the mistake of apologizing for not doing anything actually wrong. We're like, we're so sorry for making you feel this way. Like, nah, fuck that. These people, these two people in particular,
It's we're sorry you
they-
feel this way, but you shouldn't.
they deserve to be offended if they're going to project that hard onto nothing. And
And I mean,
the reason why I hate the queerbait crowd, especially, my first exposure to the term queerbaiting came from Sherlock, BBC Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, which for the first 3 seasons was an amazing show, and then season 4 was not so good. You could definitely tell that Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman were like, we're like movie stars now. Can we just clock out of TV
Not.
forever?
I mean, I think
But-
Benedict Cumberbatch was
but
kind of
they-
already a movie star, but
he didn't become a movie star until after Sherlock had started. Like that's kind of what really launched him into the spotlight.
Benedict Cumberbatch is also an alien.
Yes.
Benedict Cumberbatch also comes a batch in your mom.
Yeah.
anyway, media.
He's like had almost like the British equivalent of Chris Pratt's trajectory.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Anyway.
The writers were accused of queer baiting by the end of that show.
Even though Watson insisted over and over and over.
Yeah, because Watson and Sherlock didn't kiss or whatever, and these people don't realize that Watson is a married man. Like there's an entire episode. I think it's actually in season 3. Because he like meets his girlfriend and stuff in season 1, and then they're like engaged in season 2, and then in season 3 they actually like get married, and they might have even gotten married in season 2.
Well,
I
no.
can't
So he
remember.
dates a number of
But-
women throughout seasons 1 and 2. Then he meets Mary in season 3, episode
Yeah.
1. They're married in season 3, episode 2. They have a child in season 3, episode 3. And season 3 is like all about his relationship with Mary.
Yeah, and so they were actually absolutely projecting and accusing the head showrunner of being homophobic. Let me tell you a little tidbit about that
Stephen Moffat?
showrunner, Mark Gatiss. Stephen
Oh.
Moffat was one of the lead writers. He was not the
Oh, okay.
lead like showrunner. Mark Gatiss was. Mark Gatiss is a very openly gay man who is married, and they were accusing this dude of homophobia. So
Oh my God.
the whole queer bait controversy crowd lost credibility with me right off the bat with that, and this is another one of that, and this is why I don't like people projecting stuff that isn't
Isn't
there, and
Eddie
looking at looking at things that aren't really there, because it ruins the idea of friendship. Sherlock and Watson is like the power bromance of literary history. Like
Yeah.
the Sherlock is basically asexual, like especially in the
Yeah.
books. Like I know a
Oh,
lot
God,
of people
yeah,
ship him
the
with like
books,
Irene
yeah.
Adler and stuff, but Irene Adler was almost a non-presence. She only showed up in like 1, maybe 2 of the short stories.
Don't
and-
Showed up
think
in
of
one
Sherlock
story,
as-
and she was
Sherlock's Holmes-
known. And she
and
was known
Sherlock's-
for beating him, for besting him,
Yeah,
for
and
outsmarting
Sherlock
him,
Holmes
not for being in
spa-
love with him.
Yeah, Sherlock
Yeah,
Holmes
don't-
only had like a hate boner for her because like, confound it, that's a blasted Irene Adler. She bested me. I'm gonna show her what for.
Yeah,
was
don't
his
don't
whole
think
dynamic with Irene
of the
Adler.
real Sherlock Holmes as the Robert
Yeah.
Downey Jr. version, which I actually do enjoy both of those movies. They're fun.
Well, yeah, it is very Guy
But-
Ritchie.
Yeah,
isms
but
and stuff.
that's like him having an actual love interest is not.
And
Yeah,
that's
I've
the
read a lot of
closest-
Sherlock
and that's
stuff.
the close. I've read every single like Sherlock Holmes short
Yeah.
story and memoir.
So yeah, he's very basically asexual in those.
Yeah,
So-
and then Watson is very much married throughout all of the books. Actually, like he in one of the memoirs, it goes back to like when him and Sherlock met, and I believe Watson was like engaged at that time, and that was like way later on in the publication history that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle decided to go back and actually show their first meeting, in which they were already like adults and already kind of well suited within their own professions, and then kind of get wrapped up in this thing, and then at the end Sherlock's like, Watson, you're a pretty swell guy. I'd like to like keep you around because you're useful. And I've seen a lot of really good like bromances in fiction and in real life. And let me tell you this, and I'm sure most of the guys here in the audience already know this. If you're not being accused of being gay by people who don't know you very well, then you're doing something wrong with your guy best friends. Because that's kind of because it is called bromance for a reason. And I've had a roommate that I was that close with, and that's as far as Crow and Clover ever were. They kind of had this bromance because like, oh, we're experienced and we have opposite semblances, and Crow is sad boy and Clover is happy boy, and
I-
opposites attract.
I
I feel-
think it's hilarious, how many, and ironic how many times I like the RWBY fandom has tried to, or I've seen. Yeah, well, so yesterday I posted I posted the change my mind meme, and I said if Arcos fans really cared about Jean, they would want him to move on. basically calling out the fact that I don't think any Arco shippers nowadays actually care. Like, I think they only care about Pyrrha at this point. And one guy was honest enough to say, yeah, no, 90% of us only care about Pyrrha. That's true. I was like, I appreciate your honesty, but I basically, and I talked about, how he has other options, Ruby, Weiss, he has great chemistry with Ruby. He could have, a great relationship with them. And like over and over again. And you see this for such a long time where pretty much all over the RWBY fandom where people are like, well, a guy and a girl can be friends or can just be friends. I was like, you're, and I was basically just like that's true, but I find it very ironic how often I hear that, especially in this fandom, which I think really needs to realize that it's more often that people of the same sex are just friends.
Mhm.
And I feel that's a casualty of modernity, where
Yeah.
like in our age, it's like brotherhood has like gone away. Like in our grandparents' generation, like men would have clubs that they would go to where they would hang out with other men to play, pool, smoke pipes together. Like this is where they would go hang out together with other men. It's like nowadays, it's like that's not the case. It's like for me, like one of my best friends, like I play airsoft with, and like we go play airsoft, we go out and we'll like go out to go eat. And the way that we're talking to each other about like who's gonna buy who dinner, like the lady or guy cashier is like, all right, so who's the top or the bottom in this relationship? It's hilarious. Like we talk to each other like an old married couple, and like I've got other friends there too, like at the airsoft arena that I'll play with, and like the way that I talk to them, the way they talk to me, it's hilarious. I love it. And I mean, it was the same thing when I was in the scouts too. Like if you like. It is a casualty of modernity, like especially now, like with like the Zoomers, and like the millennials and the Gen Xers, is like you don't really have that brotherhood anymore as you used to, because everyone assumes that if you get too close to another like guy, that obviously those two are jerking each other off in the bedroom.
The thing is, like,
with these people, and it is a minority. I know most people are smarter than this, but God, are the minority here just super
Loud and
arrogant
annoying.
and loud and somehow able to garner attention they really do not deserve.
yeah.
It is that
Look.
like you can't even have people be friends in shows anymore without being accused of ship baiting or queer baiting. Like it's so
Yeah. I can
dumb.
The most.
the thing I can to play slight devil's advocate here.
Go ahead.
I can understand why people would feel this way. I can, because it's the way I would feel about like something like, let's say they never got, when they just refused to make Ren and Nora together, right?
Okay.
Like they're obviously attracted to each other, blah blah blah. Two people of opposite, sexes, genders, whatever, and they've been through a lot together. They would be attracted to each other, right? It makes sense because I am one of the people kind of on the opposite side of like, why can't people just be friends? Like my thing is like, if you get along with somebody really well, and you're attracted to them in any way, why wouldn't like that? You're going to end up probably trying to date them or liking
The best
them.
relationships
right?
start with friendship. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
I understand that.
So from that angle, I can understand why people would want, if you're gay, then you would want Crow and Clover to be a couple like that. In that sense, if Crow was gay and if Clover was gay, I don't know about Clover. We know Crow's at least would be bi at the least, but he's
Crow's a
pretty
trisexual.
straight, okay, but let's just say if Crow and if Crow and Clover were both gay, then yes, I would understand why. Okay, yes, they would date. That makes sense. There's no reason for them not to.
That's the argument that I got on Twitter was that like, no, like this queer baiting and stuff does happen. This is what actual queer baiting is. Crow and Clover ain't that because it was never established that
The
way.
difference is that Crow, in this case, it's not acceptable to be accusing people of queer baiting because Crow has been shown to chase tail. Okay, that's we know that it's not.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him not to do. And they never showed anything romantic between them. It's not like Ren and Nora, where it was very obvious that Nora was in love with Ren from episode 3 or 2. It was
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
it?
3.
I mean,
The
yeah,
minute they
episode
showed up.
3. Okay,
Their very
very
first-
very obvious. All right, we get that. At this point with Bumblebee, if they just completely drop it, I'm not going to say it's queer baiting, but it's at least ship baiting, in my opinion, at this point with what they're doing. That you'd have a much stronger argument for that one at this point if they just completely dropped it and never acknowledged it. If they acknowledge it and they don't get together, that's fine. That's okay. But if they don't even acknowledge that Yang definitely seems to be attracted to Blake, then that's some sort of baiting. And like I said, baiting does happen. They've been baiting Blake's relationships, straight or gay, the whole time. Why is that not the issue right now? There's like that talking about Crow right now. That doesn't even make sense. There's no indication that that either of them was gay. If they were, fine, but that's not what happened. That's clearly not what they were trying to portray in any way. So I don't. I understand why people would feel that way, though. I do. I do get it because that's how I would feel. I mean, I've said similar things about Ren and Nora, for example. Okay, I just get on with it. The show is too slow with its ships, but this is not a good case for that specifically. That's just my, and for the Pyrrha thing.
Really
for the Pyrrha thing, I want to touch on the Pyrrha thing too because people just get too attached to stuff, right? I'm a little overly attached to Renora, but I'll admit that I know I'm over the top with that. Okay, I know that it's like some of it's in jest as well. Some of it's just being funny because that's kind of my identity at this point with this fandom. But yeah, the Pyrrha thing, the same thing with the Crow and Clover thing. People just getting too attached to things like that. And the Pyrrha thing's like they never actually dated, just so you know, so that he should move on. If you want to talk about a show where the guy never moves on from his lost love, how about you watch Monk? They do an amazing job of that, especially with how the show ends. Spoiler alerts. He ends with finding out that his wife had a daughter with somebody before she met him. And he never ends up with a woman. He just goes and meets the daughter and starts hanging out with the daughter and becomes like a dad to her. That's a way cooler way of a guy never moving on from like a girl. That John has no reason to do any of it.
And how many years did Monk have? Exactly. How old was he?
They're married for years, and he's also I don't know exactly how to phrase this, but he's not a normal person. He's
right. I know.
He's
autism spectrum.
He would hang himself before he'd put Ponos in Begania.
He's got he has mental handicaps or something. I don't know what you want to call him. He's brilliant, but all of it makes. That is how it makes you do a show like that. That's a good way to do that. There's no reason for Jean to be like that.
Yeah, no. John is 17. He's got his whole life ahead of him, and
he's like 18 or 19.
He never had the chance to fall in love with Pierre. Well, he's 19 now. He was 17 when Pierre died.
Yeah, true. It's also been 2 years now, basically.
And they had and they basically had maybe less, and they were like friends. They were partners, not romantic partners, but for less than a year.
Well, and you think about it too, also like this argument could even be made like a straight or gay ship. Like let's just say this. Like let's play this card real quick. Like imagine like John dies in like volume 6 or whatever, and now like Pyrrha. I might say Pyrrha. Fuck. Like Weiss and or like RWBY is all broken up, where it's like, oh no, I actually like really like John. I'm sad that he's gone. I really wanted his super strong seed inside of me. Like. The same card could be played for them, like they could do it that way. So, like, it's like this.
Jean even afterwards never showed any romantic remorse for Pyrrha. Just so
this is true. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. My bad. You're right.
He was overly grieving for it. Look. End of the day, this is all about the fucking Crow and Clover shit.
Yeah.
And end of the day, yeah. The bromance is real, people, okay? I've been huddled up in a penguin huddle with my fellow penguins, living that penguin life in the freezing rains during November. I've been fucking in the desert with a bunch of bros, fucking really pissed off that we were in the middle of the fucking desert with nothing to do there. I've been fucking just everywhere you can be with dudes. And I'm not gay. I want that fucking pussy, you guys. I want it bad. I just need that fucking MILF shit in my hands to grip it and to do something with it. It's been a long time. But I will say this, okay? If you want a fucking bromance, you don't have to look any farther than this podcast right here, because you four are my bros too.
Oh,
And I
thanks.
wish I
Aw,
could
thanks,
come home
Coop.
with you guys.
Yeah.
So
Cry,
basically,
cry a
to
single
sum-
manly tear.
to summarize, the whole Crow and Clover thing. Coop is horny as fuck.
Yes, I am.
Ha!
Yeah, no, I think the
If I could-
biggest. I think
If
the biggest.
Robin
victim
was
of-
real, I would bang the living shit out of her rather than fighting Clover.
I would too.
She's attractive.
Um,
Yeah, but no, the
Um,
biggest. I don't know. To me, the biggest casualty is Lord of the Rings, Frodo and Sam, where it's like,
oh yeah.
got to be careful who you watch that with because people will not shut up about. Like, oh, you know, they're so gay. It's like,
Oh,
no,
that
it's a
one's-
bromance,
that was
and it's
kinda
a
funny
great
because-
one.
Because you could take so many lines out of context and just be like, oh.
Oh yeah,
man.
there's definitely the thing is
Share
with
the
that one
love.
is people made fun of that one being kind of gay way before all this queer
Yeah.
baiting thing was even
Fair
a
enough,
thing.
like,
Oh yeah, I
in
mean, it was
fairness
always
with
a
that
joke. It was
one.
always a joke though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same
no,
thing
yeah.
with,
Well, yeah, just some of the
same thing
lines and
with,
some of
like,
the
Luke
line
and-
delivery, you can
Yeah.
definitely make the inference if you really want to.
Same thing with like Luke and Leia and incest. Like, yeah, they kissed once before they knew that they were related, but like, how many jokes have we seen about like them banging? Because it's fun.
It is funny, yeah.
But yeah, but also in the case of RWBY, it doesn't work to accuse them of queer baiting because Terra and Saffron exist, and they have and like as we've said over and over again, they have the most they have the most functional relationship in this show, and they're great. And
But
they've been pushing Bumblebee too much. They've been pushing it too much this volume, but they're pushing Bumblebee. So
Yeah, Gira and Callie
any
also have a
amount is
successful
too
relationship,
much.
but they raised Blake, who's
yes,
a piece of
and
crap.
Gira
So
and Callie,
Yeah.
but
yeah, but they raised Blake, who's a piece of crap. So that doesn't count. They're slightly less successful.
functional relationship.
Yeah.
So
Man,
If they had raised the better care, if they had raised Weiss, then they would have been most stable relationship. But because they raised
what
Blake,
does that say
that-
about
that
Willow
ca-
and Jacques?
Did
But
we
anyway.
talk-
go ahead.
oh yeah, what media?
they're the it's so
Move on.
bad, they're so bad, it's good category for parents.
did we talk at all about Cinder in this episode?
No.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, hold up a second. No,
happened.
we completely forgot about Weiss, Winter, and Petty's talk.
Oh yeah.
I
yeah.
mean, it's
like
the
you
same
said,
stuff
it's-
that they were saying.
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of
it's the
thing,
same
how
argument.
Beauty
Winter,
don't
White,
let
Pyrrha.
your don't let your emotions take control of you. Sometimes you have, sometimes you have to do the
Look,
the
here's-
right thing even when you don't like it. Blah blah.
Here's the Winter and Penny conversation this episode. Winter's like, come on, Penny, we gotta go kill an old woman so I can get maiden powers. And Penny's like, I don't think we should kill old ladies. And then Winter's like, nah, Penny, in this particular instance, we gotta kill the old lady. And then Penny's like, I don't think we should kill old ladies. And then Winter's like, Penny, I swear to God, if you make me repeat myself over and over again.
I don't think we should kill old
We are
ladies.
pulling this
And
plug.
Cinder's like,
Betty.
I am a-okay with killing old ladies.
God, yeah, no, well, that's basically how it all boils down to. Cause we can honestly.
I'm now a-okay with killing old ladies. Would you like me to 86 the lady who's banging my dad now?
Yeah.
What is the what? Oh yeah,
That's
okay, yeah,
Maria.
never mind.
Maria
Wait,
is
yeah,
saying
no.
Penny's
Yeah.
dad.
Oh
You
no.
show up for some reason.
Hey, did we make that joke already?
I don't think we have.
Yes,
Come
we
on,
did.
Yeah, we did.
like,
We
did?
definitely
podcast
made that
for this
joke.
full
I'm
year.
pretty sure
Back
you
in-
made
back
that
in
joke.
Did that in
We
the
might
first
have.
episode.
I might have been drinking too. Also.
That was
Oh
like-
wait,
that
I'm
was
always
also, like,
drinking.
That was
Yeah,
also
we were
like
drunk,
3
but
weeks
yes,
ago.
we made that joke in episode 1.
I wasn't
remember
drunk.
for some
I
reason.
haven't been drunk on this podcast the entire time. Have I been buzzed? Yes.
I've been drunk.
So
Well,
okay,
we know that.
so with this whole Pyrrha thing, why say Pyrrha? Fuck. It's volume 3 all over with this whole Penny
Anything?
Winter with the whole 4-way battle royale between Freya,
I mean, I'm pretty
Cinder.
sure she's not going to be much of a
Yeah.
combatant.
Yeah, I don't think Freya's gonna really factor.
I-
in.
Freya's a
hey,
doll in a
it's-
box at this point.
I just say it's a 4-way because it's a 4-way between Cinder, Freya, Winter, and Penny. That's 4. The number 4. It's basically Cinder's like, yeah, if y'all want to leave, you can, and then they're like, sorry, we can't do that. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to kill you two then. So that's basically it. So like this kind of gets into the predictions of the next episode, which is like we got to consider what's in play. So the Winter Maiden's in play. 2 relics are in play. And Atlas crashing down or going up into the sky is also in play.
I honestly can't predict shit off of all the fucking different stuff that's going on.
Yeah, I have no fucking clue what's
still
gonna happen.
thinking
Yeah, it really
Penny's
hedges
gonna.
on, it really hedges on the Cinder fight.
And how quickly
That's
reinforcements
gonna
get
make
there.
or break. Yeah, that's gonna make or break how. That's gonna make or break Atlas's fate. I don't think Cinder can win against both of them. Either of them 1-on-1, absolutely, but both of them at the same time, I don't know.
My biggest fear is that Penny is going to help Cinder kill Winter.
Oh God.
That is my biggest
My,
fear.
you know what I would, as much as we say we don't want it to happen, if Nora gets the maiden powers, I would not be surprised in the slightest.
I would. They're on a completely
What?
different part of the thing.
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's a theory from people who think Freya is Nora's because her name's Freya, the mother of Thor.
Honestly, I don't think we're going to get
Why does
that
everybody
Yeah, I
think
think
like
that- I think
stupid
this
shit like
episode-
names and dumbass crap like that is like everything that matters and that's what you
Mm.
do? This is why I
So-
don't interact with RWBY fans anymore.
So yeah, I think this
Yeah.
episode actually put the final nail in the coffin on that theory because
Yeah.
we only got 1 episode left and Nora's not even anywhere near the
Nowhere
maiden.
near.
Oh yeah, no, they still have to
Yeah.
deal with fucking what's her face. So no,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
My prediction is Penny gets smashed. Pietro gives his life to bring her back. You know, he
Yep.
walks in, sees her.
One
alive.
final time.
I don't.
I think
I don't think he's.
Penny dies and gets brought back one more time. Yeah, Pietro dies, and I think Winter dies and Cinder wins. I think Cinder wins here.
I don't think Winter dies. I think she gets injured, and then Cinder kills Freya, and then I think, like Ironwood and RWBY fight Cinder, and like maybe Salem shows up or something like that. I think Ironwood's probably gonna die here.
Weiss
I-
knows where
There's
the
two
maiden is. Weiss
there's
knows where
two
the
things
maiden
I think.
is.
Yeah, Weiss
True,
does
so-
know where the maiden is. It's a matter of when
Yeah.
the reinforcements arrive. I honestly
who
like the
gets where
sim.
and who
Like
helps
I
out.
honestly could
Yeah.
see like Freya just getting TKO'd like in the background from like a stray round, and then they're like, "Oh shit!" The fucking power just goes to some random ass person,
Or
or it goes to Winter.
Yeah, the whole thing
Yeah.
of Winter hanging out with her has been
I
that goes straight to
don't
her, but I don't
think
know.
Winter's going to survive. I think she's gonna die.
I-
I think
I-
she is the least like of the people in that scenario. I think Winter's the least likely to get the maiden powers. I could see Penny getting it, and I could see Cinder succeeding and then getting
Eh,
stopped by Team RWBY at the end.
I don't think they'll give them to Penny, and I don't think so. Like it's basically it boils down to between Cinder and Winter. That's the basic. Which one's going to get it?
And it's
And-
also whenever
Yeah,
Salem.
and
gets
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Winter might get them, yes, but Cinder might still kill her even after she gets them, and her last thoughts might be of Cinder killing her, and the powers might still just go to fucking Cinder.
This is
So-
true. This also could very well be the thing. Or Cinder
like-
just drains the power out of Winter and kills her.
Yeah, she's like, oh, okay, there's like, I gotta go through one more step. Big fucking deal. Like, I was just gonna get them from that chick, but now I'll get them from this chick. It's the same basic thing, just a little bit tougher, because Winter is not an old person who's about to die anyway. What I would like to see, as I've continuously said that I'd like to see,
Mhm.
is that Winter realizing that she can't fucking get into the pod in the middle of a fight, decides to just stab through the pod, kill the chick, take the shit for herself, because that's the only option she's got at this point, and fucking have her go up against Cinder like that, and that would sort of a little bit more justify the killing off of Winter for Cinder to get the powers from her too, because she just killed a person off. And then, so, maybe have Weiss swoop in at some point and see Winter dying, something like that. Just because, she's her big sister. She's the only family she has left that she actually gives a fuck about.
Oh God.
And then it becomes
Weiss gets the powers. I could see it.
Yeah.
I could
Weiss
see
get
it.
the powers, either that or, honestly, if Weiss gets the powers, she's just fucking OP as fuck. She's still got her semblance. She's still got all the fucking glyphs. She's still got,
Probably why I don't want her to get them.
Yeah, I don't want her to get them either. I'm also doubting that she's going to be able to swoop in, because she's kind of with Team RWBY
I'm
right
hoping
now.
not. I hope it stays contained, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm not sure that they want to add more models and stuff to a fight scene and shit, because that could fuck shit up for them that way. Generally, I would prefer if they kept it more limited, and I think like I've said from the start, when we realized Winter was definitely going to be up for these powers, I think having Winter do as she's been saying she must do, and actually straight up killing a chick in order to get them, that would leave her a little bit, in the moral gray area, would make her a really excellent character, on top of how great of a character she's been ever since we first saw her. And I really hope they go that direction with her, because that's something that we'd be like, Weiss always looked up to you, but then you do this sort of thing, and it's that's the thing about Weiss's family, is that even the one that she looked up to was not with her in a certain way, and so she kind of has to learn that. I don't know. I don't know.
I like that idea. I like that a lot for all the reasons you said. That would be great.
Yeah. I'm still leaning towards Cinder gets the maybe, I don't know, maybe Winter gets the powers and opens the door, and then Cinder follows her through and grabs the staff anyway or something, because the staff has to come out. If they're going to continue,
I don't think it will this volume.
Well, no, I don't know if they're going to continue this. Because I just I don't know. This seems like the perfect opportunity for. I mean, first of all, for everything to go completely wrong and hit bottom, but if they're going to continue this storyline of the the relics and all that, and the end game to me is looking like they're gonna get the relics together, or is that the relics are going to come together, the gods are going to come back, and hopefully they're going to just give them the means to defeat Salem without killing her. I think that would be the preferable thing, without not just clean it all up for them, not just Deus Ex Machina it entirely. But if they're keeping this going, the staff is going to have to come out. It seems I don't know. It's how are what are the villains going to do next? How are the villains going to follow this up to finish it off in another volume? So I'm still leaning towards they get the relic, Cinder gets the relic in this volume, Atlas falls from the sky, and next volume is them cleaning up the mess.
Yeah, look.
Cleanup crew, it will destroy Atlas and Mantle. It'll completely crush both cities. There won't be a volume 8 if that happens.
Yeah, volume 8 is them putting together a fucking plane to fly to Vacuo.
I don't know. Maybe it doesn't fall right away or something, but it's a slow descent that it's get everyone out, get everyone away. Or
Still
something.
dropping a continent on a fucking city.
I know, but Atlas does kind of hang slightly off to the side of Mantle, but I don't know. It's odd.
Look, Robert, I'll just tell you this: all staves do have to come out, okay? But whether they come out before they shoot their load or after is up to you. Okay.
Well, I think we can wind this
so,
podcast
yeah.
down.
My,
let's
my
hit the
official prediction
questions.
is that Winter's gonna die, Cinder's gonna get the maiden powers, but then Ruby's gonna.
Do we have questions or?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Yeah, I have a.
That's not a question. That's a statement.
That's not an argument, T. Stefan Molyneux.
That's also a statement. Okay, Daniel.
Are they calling us little girls or something?
No.
I don't know what these statements
No,
are.
they're one of them is just like, "Oh, I'm dropping the show," and the other one was like, "Oh, Tyrion had fun." Daniel
he did.
Mugisha asked, "It's ridiculous just how many characters they nerfed in Chapter 12. How the heck did Oscar able to land a hit on Neo? Because plot."
Yup.
Yeah.
There's
We
That
already went
was
over that.
silly, and hopefully she kicks it.
Yeah,
Hopefully
I
she
already,
kills it next
already
episode.
rant about how
That's the
fucking
next.
stupid it is.
That's the next prediction. That's the other prediction for next episode. Neo kills freaking Oscar. Also, Jean needs to land several. Jean should land at least a couple hits on her just to finally let us know that he's better than Volume 3 Yang, and he should also be better than Oscar, but definitely better than Volume 2 and Volume 3 Yang, so we can finally prove that he's more badass than he was in Volume 1.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe John will actually win something once in his life.
Maybe.
Probably
Maybe
count
Neo
on
tries
it.
to. Maybe Neo tries to bait him by turning into her, and he takes her down.
Yeah,
Great.
that's what I
After
do.
she kills Oscar, of course.
So,
Well, yeah,
Lord
that's the most
Sinister-
important part. Let's be honest.
Lord Sinister 707 asked 3 questions that we basically already answered. Why was Marrow the Aesop's nerfed when he could have easily defeated Team RWBY? We already
He was
answered that. His semblance has
Over and over and over.
limitations. 2, why is Robin Hill even here or relevant anymore? Just to make me suffer.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
Why
actually
did
do
they-
want to talk about that. I have one more soapbox if it's okay. I will be quick, but I do want to talk about Robin
Alright.
Hill because she is not a great character. She is not a good character. She is, however, necessary. I'll just give the abridged version here. She makes us care about so she makes us care about Mantle. She's an opponent for Jacques, I don't know. She's supposed to make us care about Mantle. She's an opponent for Jacques, so we're not wondering wait, how did this guy win the election? Who was his horrible opponent? Again, she's supposed to be. But we're not wondering how, who was so terrible that Jacques didn't win and stuff like that. She's a way for Ironwood to, gain the hearts of the people of Mantle when he decides to confess the truth to them. And so, she's necessary. She's just not a good character. So that's.
And the third question was, why is Crow so stupid? He's kind of dumb, but he's nowhere near as dumb as.
He's just been demoralized. That's all that happened to
We
Crow.
We
I
went
still
mad
think he's the
deep
dumbest
into
thing.
that. Yeah. They're all pretty damn dumb except for Tyrion. Tyrion's the only one playing it smart in that thing. And he's a freaking psychopath.
He's the one who caused the plane to actually crash.
Yeah.
Rob Caro 85 asks, I understand the situation with Ironwood and Mantle, but what gave Robin the sense to start a fight in an airborne ship? The question will haunt me for the rest of my life, I swear. Same thing with why didn't Blake recognize Ilya in Volume 4, Episode 9? And why did she magically think that Ilya's scroll was
I
important?
would have done that whole thing better.
Why did Crow team up with a serial killer? Because Clover was kind of being a dick.
They were all being.
And Crow was thoroughly demoralized.
Yeah. Lake Dragoon asks, odds on Neo turning into Pyrrha during the fight.
Plausible. Out of 10.
I wouldn't hate it if it's immediately followed up by beating the crap out of her.
I hope they give Pyrrha a new character model that looks hotter than her old one and has a new clothing outfit and stuff.
Ooh.
like in a Harry Potter musical or Voldemort impersonate Hermione and like she lost weight and apparently she's better looking.
Yeah.
Did that to Ron. They did that. If you've never
Wow.
watched those, they're fucking hilarious. By
I've seen
way.
the first one.
They're fucking funny. The audio is crap, but they're so goddamn funny.
Yeah.
The way they rip on Hermione in those those is so fucking funny.
Gotcha.
So CB Henson asked, since it seems you, would Robin be less of an unlikable shit if they didn't make her a politician and seemingly shoved her into the god awful election plotline?
No.
I think she's actually been more insufferable since that plotline ended, so I'm gonna say no.
And she's the only problem with
Yeah.
the election plotline.
Yeah.
Like allegory aside, the election plotline is, and the allegory wasn't even like that. Wasn't even the main point of it. Like the election plotline was fine. It shows us how Jacques got into power. It provided an extra level of stress for Ironwood so that he could. Sorry, I've seen this isn't the first time I've run into this question, but like it provided an added way for an added level of stress for Ironwood so that we can see his progression to what we see in episode 11. It's a way to give it's a plan for Watts to have. It's a way to show us what the process of Watts' plans. It provides a way for them to find out about Tyrion and start looking into him. They should have done more with the mystery thing, but whatever, so, and it's a way for Jacques Schnee to get involved in the story and for Weiss to interact more with her family. So the election plotline is not the only problem with the election plotline is that Robin's an idiot.
Yeah, but overall, I really like the election plot.
Yeah, they give us no reason to root for her over Jacques.
So Joseph Ingram asked, "Is Robin meant to be dumb?"
Apparently,
I don't think so. I think the writers are just dumb. Travis Herndon asked 3 questions. How did you feel about the whole Clover being a traitor thing? I never thought that. I thought he was actually the least likely suspect to be a traitor. I thought if anyone was going to be a traitor, it was going to be Marrow. And I always thought that Clover was going to be the one. Yeah, it turns out nobody was, which is actually really good.
Which is fun. Yeah.
I mean, they could have done something cool with it. But...
Yeah. Second question is just the queer baiting question. We already went on too long on that. And third question, so far, do you think the new writers are a hit or the new Miles and Carrie? Let me put this into perspective, and I don't think we addressed this.
We did actually in our talk, but
episode 11 was written by Miles and Carrie. Mm-hmm. This episode was written by Kiersey and Eddie. I don't know if some Freaky Friday thing happened, or if that was just or if episode 11 was just a fluke. But I've actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at all the writers for all the episodes, but I'm pretty sure I've, on the whole, enjoyed the Miles and Carrie episodes more this.
I would say.
I think I'd have to look back too. A part of me wonders if maybe it has more. If maybe it's more to do with the directors, because there's been 4 directors this volume as well. So a part of me is like I'm kind of wondering if I don't know. Kind of what I'm thinking right now is that one of the directors or somebody and this is also Monty level thinking and not in a good way, is that somebody was all like, hey, you know what would be really cool? If Crow and Tyrion teamed up. And they were like, that doesn't make any sense, but it would be really cool. And they forced Kiersey and Eddie to do that, because I guess I'd have to look back at it too, but it's.
I know exactly what the shit is between the fucking Miles and Carrie episodes and the Kiersey and Eddie episodes. Miles and Carrie have been deliberately being dumbasses about writing this entire time so that they could bring Kiersey and Eddie on for this volume and then make them do all the shitty episodes and they do all the good ones so that they look good again. And then they're like, haha, see how good we are and how shitty Kiersey and Eddie are? Fire them and put us back in charge, but even more now, and give us more money.
Who knows?
I think
Miles wrote episode 8 though, right? Or Did he write that alone?
I don't know. I don't have any of the listen.
I don't know. It's
Uh,
odd. Like it is odd. It's hard to figure out like who's been screwing up here or what.
I would say that this volume so far, I would still say is definitely one of, if not possibly the best volume so far. Has the potential to be the best volume.
I'm leaning more
It's up
towards
there, though.
second best.
It's up there, though.
I don't think it's gonna surpass Volume 6 for me. It might surpass Volume 4 if they can stick the land.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It has, but okay, if they really nail episode 13 somehow, it could actually still be the best, I think. For me, at
Yeah.
least. If this is like that, if this episode is really good, and I mean, they did episode 11, so they could do another one.
Yeah.
They could have another episode. Even doesn't even have to be as good as episode 11 for
Yeah.
it to be the best volume for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
my thing is that Volume 7 has already done more to piss me off than Volume 6 ever.
Yeah, people always remember the ending.
Yeah,
They'll
that's
forget
kind-
about
that's-
your flips and
There's
twirls.
more
Yeah.
highs and more lows in my personal opinion for this volume versus episode for volume 6.
Well,
but
yeah,
I
we're
would
not
still
really
say that the jury is out on them, but I can't say they're a bad thing. They're not a miss yet because it's been a good volume overall, and it's definitely better than a lot of earlier stuff, right? So
Yeah.
if it
Yeah,
allows
last
Mouse to carry
episode-
more time to put more effort into things, and at least that now they can do the episodes they're writing
Yeah.
better, just for sake
Yeah,
of time.
Yeah,
then
last
great.
episode 11 really cemented that it's at least going to be better than Volume 3. Whether it's
yeah.
between Volumes 3 and 4 or between Volumes 4 and 6 is kind of up to next episode, I think.
Or technically, it could be the best. Probably not, but it could
Yeah,
be.
I doubt it. So Connor Hines asked a couple questions. Do you think RWBY would be better if it kept being written the way this volume was, or a Monster of the Week type deal like the Farm last volume? I think RWBY has always been a lot better with Freak of the Week stuff. I think
It's
that's
too
way
late
more.
now,
at least
though,
at
I
least
think.
at least with Carrie's other output, like outside of RWBY, like other projects he's done, it's more in his wheelhouse. I think.
I think it's too late though now.
It is
Yeah.
too late to
Yeah.
change it.
Far too
Yeah.
late. Far too
I
late.
do kind of wish that like they'd spent a little more time in like a kind of exploring Mantle and stuff like that, and like I was thinking like instead of the
I mean, we
montage
already
that we
got
got
way
was
more. We already
fine,
got way
but
more of it than any of the other setting.
yeah, like definitely that's great and all, but I like that is definitely great, and they've done a much better job of making Mantle feel alive than they did Haven. But I do kind of feel, or not Haven, whatever it was called, Mistral. But I do think that, but like I look at the montage. Part of me kind of wishes we'd got to something more like Tales of Ba Sing Se type episodes with like maybe solo stuff. But that would have required that would have required a longer volume and a probably bigger budget and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
They
but
already
that's
tried
just
to do Tales of Boss. They already tried to not Tales of Boss. They already tried to do a volume, an Avatar season 2 thing, and they failed. That was the worst volume of the show.
I mean, they've kind of been doing that with this one too. But anyway. But yeah.
He also asked, "What do you think will happen next volume?" We gotta get through this volume first, and we'll.
We won't even have that argument until like
Yeah.
2 weeks from
know
now.
what's happening next.
I am
episode,
still
let
hoping
alone next
for
volume.
them cleaning up Atlas and Mantle. But who knows?
What do you think Cinder and Neo were doing to pass the time on the flight?
Hot lesbian
He also-
sex.
Sure.
that's exactly what he suggests, and sure.
Why not?
If Jacques is a Trump allegory, why did Robin Hill win the wall? Because these writers don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Bonus. At this point, Ironwood
Yeah.
feels more like the Trump allegory, actually.
And the last, well, he's also just a more accurate Trump allegory as far as just personality and stuff.
Yeah, like
Uh,
I don't know.
do you
Like I
think-
said, the allegories
and
really
do you
haven't
think
been
any
that
other-
bad or prominent, but they're kind of
they've been
anyway.
kind of bad. Do you think any
They've been
other characters will
unintentionally
die?
bad.
We already answered that. Next, John Chung. Yeah, that's not really a question. Sonic Badass doesn't ask a question, just makes a statement. Derek Bell asks, "Do you think RWBY would have been better if it just stuck with one power set instead of introducing so many to the point where it becomes a mess?" Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're talking
We-
about
I've
like
done
adding the
entire-
maidens and the gods and all that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been very clear that I fucking hate all of that. I hated the maiden. I hate the gods. I don't like any of that shit. It should
They've
have just
grown
been
on me. Mostly, I've just accepted them at that point. But it probably would have been
semblances and
little
silver
better.
eyes. That's all we fucking needed. That's it. And we didn't even really need the silver eyes, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
Dust was
Like,
okay.
if it had just
He-
been dust and semblances, I would have been fine with it. Dust,
Yep,
aura,
yep,
and
I
also-
would have been fine with just that.
He also
And
asked,
aura and
It's too
semblances
late to
should have been
complain, though,
mashed
but-
together from the start.
Yeah.
Like that should have been linked. Like that should have been the obvious way to do things. But
he also asked if RWBY would have been better if it didn't take itself so seriously. It didn't for a long time, and
Yeah.
those were the worst volumes until volume
Yes,
5 happened.
exactly. Yeah, no, the
Wishni
first
asked,
two
was
volumes were
Neo-
the second and third worst, and they were the ones where Monty wasn't taking anything seriously. And I'm honestly kind of tired of this question because you're basically saying, Miles, Carrie, would you stop trying? Would you stop trying to be better? Would you stop, would you stop moving forward? Would you just stop, trying to be like,
Yeah.
trying to adjust and improve your craft? Would you guys just stop that? That is a horrible attitude. Please stop it, everyone. All right?
I will-
It's good
I will-
that they're trying.
I will say this: even though they are better, those first 3 volumes were enjoyable due to their silly stupidness, and that's kind of what gets you hooked. Like that's
Yeah, but
that's
it's
the
not what
reason
you
I've
stay
continued
for.
on. Yeah, it's not. It ain't. But it's like it is very
Eventually, we'd have
entertaining.
gotten bored of Monty's animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
it
think we
would
would
have
have
been
gotten
like,
bored of
when
his
And you never
animation.
even liked his animation, Coop.
It would have
Yeah.
been like, when's the show
What do
starting?
you mean I never liked his animation? I thought the animation
you
was
said you
cool.
didn't.
It was no, I never said that. The animation was
Oh.
cool. It was a little bit overly fast in the fight scenes.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's the one thing about the fight scenes from Monty that is like that's like a constant thing is that he goes too fast paced with them. And like you're if you blink for a second you might miss something that happens in it. And sometimes some of the things that don't happen that happen in them are a little bit pointless. Like a lot of people are there's a lot of flourishes and stuff that I don't like, just not necessarily because they're not a that's like a different philosophical thing, and that's more of a meta thing that I don't dig about the way the fight scenes are. If I just go in series as to whether I like how they look, yeah, they look good. Do I think they're great fight scenes? Not by my own personal opinions
Fair enough.
of them, but like I still enjoy them as great cinematography.
Yeah.
And so like that's like a
Yeah.
very deep delving thing that
Alright.
I did not expect to be brought up about me. But
Sorry,
yeah,
I just
there
remember you
have
once
it.
saying that or I thought I remembered you once saying that like you weren't a fan of Monty's
Yeah,
old
I did a whole
animation,
video
but I'm
about-
sorry about that. Okay.
No.
But
So-
also this
so-
BS Crow and Tyrion thing, that is absolutely something Monty would do. That is absolutely something that we'd have gotten in the first 3 episodes. This would be really cool, but it wouldn't make any sense. But it would be really cool. That is absolutely something we'd have gotten in the first 3 volumes. Go ahead, sorry.
Wishni asked, was Neo letting Oscar punch her in the face more disrespectful than Blake bitch smacking Adam in Volume 5? No, it was pretty disrespectful, but it was nowhere near that level. And is there any chance Cinder loses this fight? Yeah, I already said that. I don't think it'll be Winter or Penny that beats her. I think Team RWBY are going to get there. Ryan W asked about power rankings. We already did a whole spiel about that.
Yeah.
I'm blasting through. I'm skipping repeated questions and stuff we've already answered.
Yeah, because
but
we're
I'm
almost
just
at
giving
3
shout-outs
hours. I'm
because-
sorry. I've been going
Because
off.
I'm
Hey, it's a 2-episode
tired
cast.
of it.
It's like
yeah, and I'm
it was bound to
not
go
feeling
long.
good.
Yeah.
Universal Cerberus, how do you feel about the Aesops being narrow-minded? We kind of already answered that.
They weren't.
Sean Resendez said, do you think Team RWBY will be outlaws next volume? I don't even think they're going to be outlaws by the end of this volume.
There's gonna be no law to challenge
yeah.
them by the end of this volume.
And we already answered about who's going to die. I think that's yeah. I don't see a question mark there. Abel Zerahan. Does anyone else other than Team RWBY know what Neo looks like? They would have talked.
Yeah.
Yeah, she probably. She's
And
kind
they
of.
even
She's
say
kind of
that,
easy to
like-
recognize, so they probably.
Yeah, I mean, and they even say that because like Oscar's like, wait, you know her, and
And they're
I
like,
think
we
it's
haven't
like,
heard
"We
good
haven't
things.
yeah, we haven't heard good things.
Yeah,
So
they're
they
like,
they've never met her, but like they know her.
Yeah. they're like pink and brown hair. Oh crap, that's Neo Pollard.
Why didn't she disguise the relic? Doesn't matter. It would have
Why
it would
didn't
have turned back.
Neo?
It would have turned back when it would have turned back when Oscar hit her anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think the last question to Jen will just be backstory for Cinder? That would be an absolute waste of a question. Just fucking have Cinder tell her backstory, or
Yeah, just show us.
show her backstory.
Just give us a
waste the
monologue.
last question. Don't
Please
waste the last
no.
question of the
Also, what
entire
is it?
show
All
on
this? Why
something-
do we all need all these backstories? Like,
Yeah.
who cares? I don't give a shit.
We're in too deep.
I don't give a shit.
It's because
I
we
don't
were
give a shit about
promised
Cinders
Cinders, but
anymore. But like,
Oh.
like back in the day, if you had asked me, "Do you want to see Cinder's backstory?" I'd have been like, "Yeah, that would be a good idea. They should
Yeah.
probably do that."
Yeah,
Now we're
it
it
7
would have been
volumes
good back in
in.
Volume 3. But at this point, it's kind of
And-
like.
Yeah, now we're 7 volumes in, and they still ain't hit on shit. And I'm like, okay, I don't care.
I
about
actually
Cinder.
did show it in
Cinder
my
is just a-
fanfiction. In
Cinder's just a
2020.
bitch. Like,
Anyway.
that's all she needs to be,
Yeah.
apparently. I don't.
Anyway.
Uh,
I mean, I am still.
he also asked, do you think it's weird that a progressive company like Rooster Teeth would make the most diverse team we've seen in a while lose so spectacularly? No, during
Who
the
cares?
Team Indigo fight, the first person to get knocked out was the only black guy in like the entire show, so they don't care.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
As you should know, they will take any minority behind the woodshed because that's what real progressivism is.
God.
God damn it.
Anyway.
Quite asked, think Tyrion is going to break out Watts? No, because Watts is dead. Would a
Probably.
Tyrion Cinder team up work? Yeah, but I don't think it's going to happen because Tyrion's like 5
Miles
In the
away.
middle of the fucking.
If he could run that
frozen
far and jump
wasteland.
that high, that'd be impressive.
Assuming he
Yeah.
would even know Cinder's there.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
With Clover dead and Marrow and Vine clearly disapproving of Harriet and Elba's attitude, is the Aesops as a group finish? Probably
Yes.
not. And how do you feel about Crow's decision to fight Tyrion? We already answered that. That was
Stupid.
Adrian Ramirez that asked that. So that's it. I'm wrapping this up because I am literally about to like diarrhea my pants right now.
All right,
join-
we're shutting it
I gotta
down.
go
Join
to
the
bed.
Discord. Subscribe to
join the Discord,
YouTube.
support my Patreon. Donate to Streamlabs. It really helps.
Hit me up on Tinder, ladies. I swear to God, I need it.
Yeah,
I don't even
and-
care anymore. Like, just
And
somebody,
have,
please.
and have a nice day.